AT&T can phase out your landline. Illinois lawmakers last week approved a 9/11 telecom law that, among other things, allows AT&T to free itself from your decades-old mandate that requires it to service old phone technology, the copper, going into your home. But despite that law, you'll get to keep your landline until the FCC agrees to end the mandate. No one is guessing right now when the FCC may rule on that issue. And this morning, we're happy to report that Rolling Meadows is going to the dogs. Well, actually, the Rolling Meadows Police Department is going to the dogs again. Daily Herald, our friends there, reporting this morning, the suburban Chicago Police Department is bringing back its police dog unit 4 years after it was disbanded to help officers sniff out the crooks, missing people, and illegal drugs. The chief there says the move brings the department in line with other nearby departments that already have dog units. Chicago sports, Pirates crushed the Cubs 14-3 in the rubber match of a 3-game set at Wrigley Field. John Lester did not look good and did not make it out of the first inning. Kyle Freeland took a no-no into the ninth inning. Rockies crushed the White Sox 10-0. Melky Cabrera was the one who spoiled that no-hit bid. The news service of Burger King breakfast. Right now at participating Burger King restaurants, you can get 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. It's breakfast on a light, flaky croissant, only at Burger King. Price and participation may vary. Restrictions apply. 5:06. We'll get a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The temperature this summer is on the rise, and everyone is talking about one person, President Donald Trump. As controversy swirls around his presidency and the Democrats and the mainstream media take aim, what will happen next? Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for the Summer of Trump, Tuesday, August 22nd at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, also featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
Message and data rates may apply. Please don't text while driving.
Did you know your organization's logo can do far more than you think?
Your logo carried my clothes to the gym.
Your logo kept my coffee warm all morning. Your logo charged my phone last night.
When the highly trained team at 4imprint put your logo on things people actually use, you'll be amazed at how powerful your logo can be. Not only will we unleash the full power of your logo, we'll show you the top 3 promotional items for driving new customers absolutely free. Text TEAM to 642-642 now. Every time your customers enjoy one of our promotional items with your logo, they'll think of you. Plus, with free art assistance, we'll make every item look fantastic for a great price. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Your logo keeps my laptop safe.
Your logo keeps me dry.
Attract new customers, reward employees, and make a lasting impression. Discover the top 3 promotional items for free. Text TEAM to 642-642. That's TEAM to 642-642.
It's 5:09. Getting word this morning, trees down in Beach Park. We've been telling you about those severe storms that crossed the Illinois-Wisconsin border from Wisconsin into Illinois and are tracking towards the loop in downtown Chicago. Again, trees down in Beach Park. We'll see if Jim Talamonte has any more word in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Welcome back, Jim. Hope things are okay.
Things are good. Thanks, Mike. Good morning. But yes, to the north, the weather is an issue, and we're even getting a little bit of light precipitation downtown, so the roads may be slick here and there. in Antioch, where we just had an incident with some trees down, or a tree down on power lines near Trevor Road and North Avenue. That situation is just cleared. Just getting the details on Beach Park. No official closures yet, but we may have some here in the next little bit. As far as the expressways and tollways go, we do have delays on northbound I-55 from 126 to Weber Road, but that's starting to loosen up a little bit after a little bit of work in that area. Downtown closures remain in place after Taste of Chicago. Looking at the flight boards at O'Hare, see a sprinkling of delays here and there with those thunderstorms incoming, and Midway has a number of cancellations. Traffic is a service of Geico Chicago. Hey, Chicago, Geico now has even more ways to save you money. The local Geico agent is ready to deliver the personal service you need with the savings you love. Call 773-582-AUTO. That's 773-582-AUTO for your local Geico agent. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here is our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, breezy for the morning with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm. Otherwise, humid with clouds breaking for some sun. A severe thunderstorm late in the afternoon. High today, 84. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
77 at O'Hare, 77 along the lakefront, and our first water temp reading of 70 at Wilmette Harbor. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Except in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie. She of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me. Did you get your button figured out over there?
Yeah, it's a little technical difficulty to start the morning here.
It's early.
It's which is on and which is off. I'll get it figured out by the 9 o'clock
red.
hour.
You want the red button.
Thank you. Thank you for that. You're
here
fast.
To help. Here to help.
Quick study. Yeah. So the question, should Donald Trump Jr. face life in prison or be executed? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, 646-368, turnkey.pro. Text line, those are your two options. According to the leftist echo chamber, those are the options reverberating within that space. Per this story that broke over the weekend, and of course the New York Times reported breathlessly, you could almost hear the hyperventilation coming through the written word from the reporters that cobbled together the story. But here's the story. Donald Trump Jr. Met during the campaign with a Russian lawyer named, or Russian cartoon character. I'm not sure, but the Russian lawyer's name is Natalia Veselnitskaya. Thank you very much.
Did you work on that on the way over? You must have.
It's comes from reading Gulag Archipelago a couple of times, so I kind of get the rhythm.
I need to wake up over here.
So this is a Russian attorney who requested the meeting, potentially through a cutout, but she requested the meeting that included Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, who I believe hadn't uttered his first word at that time.
No, because he just did that
in the last couple of weeks, yeah. The campaign chairman for Trump's presidential campaign at the time, Paul Manafort. The meeting reportedly was to have a conversation about a U.S. law called the Magnitsky Act, which barred certain Russians from engaging in banking in this country. And part of the conversation, because Putin so opposes that act, that law, that Putin retaliated by blocking U.S. adoptions of Russian children. So this was the nature of a very brief meeting, according to reports, 20 minutes or so. And it turns out that Ms. Veselnitskaya, thank you,
nice.
She had connections to the Kremlin. She had connections to a company called Prevazon Holdings, which was facing a civil asset forfeiture case. And the meeting was predicated on the idea that she had damaging information about Hillary Clinton to transmit to Donald Trump Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so here's Trump Jr.'s statement on this. After pleasantries were exchanged, the woman stated that she had information that individuals connected to Russia were funding the Democrat National Committee and supporting Mrs. Clinton. Her statements were vague, ambiguous, and made no sense. No details or supporting information was provided or even offered. It quickly became clear she had no meaningful information, and then there was no follow-up with her. This is that. So that's kind of what happened. This is being called treason by many on the left who sought the meeting.
The meeting ended, and that was the end of it. And as far as non-disclosure, look, Jared Kushner put in his disclosure a little prematurely. He's since amended it. All of that is disclosed, and it was a nothing meeting. And now, what's developing from that meeting, if you look at the article that Circa put out, is that the individual that set up the meeting may have been affiliated with Fusion GPS, which is an opposition research firm that is being subpoenaed and talked to by the Senate Judiciary Committee about their role in putting together that phony dossier that people know about in regard to the president.
All right, you get all that? What do you, as an enterprising journalist yourself, what do you make of this? The importance of this story?
I mean, I guess so. Two things concern me, but what doesn't concern me is that a member of the Trump team or members went to a meeting to try to get some dirt on Hillary Clinton. That's what campaigns do. It's called. I mean, that's what journalists do. If somebody calls me with some sort of a news tip or wants to meet with me, I take a meeting. I'm sure many journalists do. So I don't think the meeting was the problem. I'm a little concerned with how high up in the Trump organization it went. It wasn't just Donald Jr., but Manafort was there,
right.
Members of the legal team, a translator, and at one point they didn't know exactly even who they were meeting with. And then the second thing that concerns me is that it's why is this leaking out now? Why didn't the Trump team early on just confess to all of this and just from the beginning say, here are all the contacts that we've had? Instead, it's the same. It's a drip that I don't think is going anywhere, and that it's just a drip. But why do we keep it? It becomes a scandal when we don't know about it ahead of time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think there's a sloppiness aspect to this. One, that the meeting wasn't properly vetted. If you're going to have principals at that level in the room, then there's got to be some vetting of this individual that you want to meet with. So they're essentially saying after the fact the individual misrepresented who they were. Well, what was the process that was abided to vet this individual to take the meeting in the first place? I think that's a legitimate question. And then, as you say, all of these meetings. Now, here's the problem with the drip, drip, drip. One of the things is, you don't remember when particularly in a campaign and at that level, when every day is a lifetime, you don't necessarily remember every And I have Bill Clinton per this alleged Fusion GPS connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with all of that. Again, if you think the Clintons or any other campaign apparatus is not doing everything they can to come up with dirt, I mean, how many foreign governments did the Clinton Foundation raise money from? How many meetings did she take? I don't want to go down that road, but the fact that this is being blown up into a they should be locked up. That's what some on the left are saying already. This is treason. Is just, to me, ridiculous and really naive if you don't think campaigns work this way. Of course, you're always looking for some sort of opposition research on the other party. But it does concern me that these things keep trickling out. And how do we know that the campaign, that Donald Trump Jr., that Jared Kushner are not going to get caught up if they've already been interviewed by the FBI or something, and they haven't disclosed this meeting, and so now they're going to get in trouble for not disclosing it?
Well, and Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intel Committee, the Democrat congressman from Area 51, He has said that Kushner needs to be whistled in and testify before House Intel. Not Kushner, excuse me. Trump Jr. needs to testify before House Intel, so we'll see.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Your forecast today, severe thunderstorms this morning. They caught me on the way in. No umbrella. Storms can bring flooding and damaging winds, high of 84. And tonight, more strong thunderstorms. So take your umbrella to work, and let's see how the roads are impacted with Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Kristen. Good morning, Dan. Well, the roads are definitely impacted with this. Got some precipitation in the downtown area, but again, some heavier stuff, especially to the north. Have delays on the Tri-State Tollway to the north on the southbound side from Duffy to Deerfield Road, where there's a crash blocking the left lane. Inbound I-57, inbound Bishop Ford, things getting a little bit heavy now approaching the Rhine. Earlier delays on northbound I-55 have mainly dissipated the area between 126 and Weber Road. Got a situation with some tree down near power lines, Antioch near Trevor and North Avenue. That situation has been cleared. We have a number of flight delays at O'Hare, some delays and cancellations at Midway this morning. Traffic, I'm Jim Talamonte at the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Yes, indeed, summertime. Another hot one. Wait, gonna be a little bit cooler today. Back to hot, gonna be windy. Maybe a thunderstorm mixed in for good measure. Up and down and up and down. The climate is always changing. Your company's heating and cooling system really gets a workout in Chicagoland. Be ready for anything this summer. Call Air Comfort and get your business's cooling system tuned up and running at peak performance. You see, the Air Comfort problem solvers can find small problems before they become big problems. Plus, proper maintenance will keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your chiller is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key to keep your climate from changing is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $100, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, you should give Physicians Mutual Insurance Company a call. 1-800-300-8038. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away, so you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. That's right, any dentist you want. Call and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-300-8038. That's 1-800-300-8038. 1-800-300-8038.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. According to creditcard.com, cardholders in Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan are carrying over $33,000 of debt on their credit cards. The Federal Reserve recently increased the interest rates 1/4 point, which, according to credit enhancement expert Gary Novell, will increase the average credit card holder's interest payments $825 a year. The good news is home values have rebounded, so now is an excellent time to use your home's equity to eliminate your stress, pay off credit card debt, and lower your monthly payments. To see if you can use your home's equity to pay off your debt, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, and MLS 19186.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, don't be caught without the facts. Listen to me, Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune Ed Board, in for Amy this morning, who's still kind of doing a Trump-like visit to Europe. She is also meeting with the other G20 leaders. She's
Great.
already spent a lot of time with the Trump family.
All right.
But yeah, she is working her way around the power circles in Europe. This is just, boy, CNN, the hits keep coming. Great little compendium put together at therightscoop.com with about, 2 weeks worth of chyrons from CNN. They're anonymous sources. Trump not expected to discuss election meddling with Putin. Trump won't bring up election meddling, and so on and so forth. Up and down, different panels, different hosts. And, of course, what is the first thing that Trump did when he met with Putin? He brought up election meddling. Reince Priebus discussing how that conversation went down on that topic of meddling in the 2016 election between President Trump and Russian autocrat Vlad Putin.
Russian.
Yeah, made to ruin your life. All right, coming up after we check the headlines with Mike Scott. Speaking of the G20 summit, how successful was President Trump, and where?
And said the fact that he and the Russian president talked about creating a cybersecurity unit doesn't mean he believes it will happen. It had been criticized by several prominent Republicans. President Trump's lawyer says he didn't know about a meeting between his son and a Russian lawyer. White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus suggests that a news story about the president's advisors meeting with a Russian lawyer last summer is nothing more than a smear.
It was a very short meeting. It was a meeting apparently about Russian adoption. And after about 20 minutes, the meeting ended, and that was the end of it.
On Fox News Sunday, Reince Priebus called it a nothing meeting. The New York Times reported that a spokesman for Trump's legal team says the president was not aware and did not attend. Thousands are still under evacuation orders in California as 2 fires threaten homes in Santa Barbara County. Scores of fires are scorching the West and Canada. Another GOP senator and her child against their will. A man is dead following an ATV accident in Buffalo Grove. Authorities say the victim and a woman were riding the ATV yesterday when it crashed in the 300 block of North Riverwalk Drive. A dog is on the ballot for a spot in city government in Durham, North Carolina. No, it's true. Obi, a 9-year-old pit bull. He's a mix, by the way, is working with no budget, but is still employing a strong social media campaign. Obi's owner says that as lifelong Durham residents, he and the dog, well, they understand the woes of that city. Pirates crushed the Cubs, while the Rockies belted the White Sox 10-0. The news service of Burger King breakfast. Right now at participating Burger King restaurants, you can get 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. That's 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. Breakfast on a light, flaky croissant. Only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Restrictions apply. 5:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says work is getting done in Washington, despite what you see from the mainstream media.
An awful lot continues to get done in this Trump White House, day in and day out. Bills are being signed. Legislation is being tackled. Yes, health care is going to be tricky. It's going to be tough. But if anybody can do it, it's this guy. You know it, and I know it.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now with Galaxy. Buy 1 cabinet, get 1 free. Visit us online at GalaxyHome.com to schedule your free in-home estimate. Save an additional $500 when you book right now.
If you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, your dental health. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You hear a lot of people screaming at you about dental implants. Get it done in a day, or we can treat everybody, or hundreds of thousands of implants. Look, successful implants don't come from an implant factory. What you don't hear talked about is skill, treatment, and installation. These are what make for successful lifelong implants. And that's why you need to see Dr. Norouzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Norouzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants. You need the experience, skill, and honesty that 24 years of dental implants brings.
This is Dr. Norouzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics, 630-232-7400, 630-232-7400, or just remember, implantsforme.com, implantsforme.com.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
It takes a lot of courage to face your own death, but I'm glad I finally did. See, I was putting off getting life insurance to protect my family, even though I knew it was important. Then my neighbor's husband died. I watched her struggle emotionally and financially. It really made me face reality. If my husband died, how would I pay the mortgage, the car payments, or keep up the life the kids and I had? I realized I needed to get us life insurance right away. So I called AIG Direct. In less than 5 minutes, I had a quote. I was shocked at how affordable it is. Just $14 a month for $250,000 of term life coverage. I feel so much better knowing my family has protection.
Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-900-1904. That's 1-800-900-1904. 1-800-900-1904.
5:36, and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. We're seeing a number of flight delays at both Chicago airports, and Midway has a significant number of cancellations affecting more arrivals than departures. And Stevenson has delays starting at First Avenue, and it's 50 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive with that rain-reducing speeds. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 26 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Traffic is a service of Back to School Illinois. Back to School Illinois provides school supplies for children in need. You can help by making a donation at any neighborhood currency exchange or at b2si.org. Back to School Illinois, working to improve educational opportunities for Illinois children. b2si.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Severe morning thunderstorms. Those storms could erupt again in the afternoon with some flooding and damaging winds. Already we're seeing reports of 2 inches of rain or more right along the Illinois-Wisconsin border this morning. High of 84 later today. Currently 75 at O'Hare. It is 76 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Wine Time Radio. Every Saturday at 5 p.m. on AM 560, explore the wonderful world of wine with host James Crooker and Rob Lehner.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And this question to Kristen, as well as to all of our friends, the listening audience. Did Trump have a successful G20 substantively while undermining that success rhetorically? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Kristen, you know what I'm getting at there?
Was there a double entendre that I missed?
No, it's not a double entendre. Substantively, it was successful. Think the ceasefire in Syria.
Mm-hmm.
Think putting the election meddling question to Putin. Think standing against the orthodoxy of the left as constituted by the European and Eastern powers of the world that were in attendance on junk science and from Trump's perspective, trade policy. Substantively successful, reasserted America's strength. The speech in Poland calling for essentially a defense of Western civilization. But rhetorically, although I guess the speech, it was part of the rhetorical record, rhetorically undermined by some of what Rex Tillerson had to say about the Syrian ceasefire and working with Russia on that, as well as, of course, Trump's celebration and then retraction of the prospect of a cyber unit
cyber hacking unit in conjunction with Russia.
I know. He just serves up a chance for ridicule. But I don't think the Syrian ceasefire can be just brushed aside. I know they had some conflicting responses to that, but I mean, this is something that the left has been pounding at, particularly. I mean, it's been an international outrage for sure. But the people who I follow, who follow the crisis in Syria, have been just begging for some sort of intervention. And you're probably familiar, listeners are, with Qasim Eid. He's written a couple op-eds in the Wall Street Journal. He was in Syria during the 2013 chemical massacre, and he's written a couple of times of the frustration and the hopelessness that people felt when Obama did not follow through with the red line. And he has on his latest Twitter feed, I think, God bless Donald Trump. So, I mean, I don't think that can be just brushed aside. Yes, we have to partner with the Russians to make this happen. But already you are seeing the ceasefire hold, and I think that could be one of the most important things that the Trump administration has accomplished so far. Would you agree?
Well, I mean, it's 24 hours, so
But also the strike, the pivot away from the Assad regime. I think one of the things Donald Trump does wrong all the time is just not realize who our enemies are, and I think that was part of the confusion or question as to why he met with Putin for 2 hours. Who cares? Like this whole,
it was only supposed to be a half an hour, and it's 2 hours.
Well, good.
Right,
I mean, again, if they can find a way to take a pot shot, they will. And the fact that they're discussing the length of the meeting, I mean, I don't know, that makes no sense to me. But I do think that for an issue that, from my perspective, the left has been very concerned about, which is the crisis in Syria and the
precipitated by the left, by President Obama.
Well, yes. I mean, this Eid, who has a recent piece in the Wall Street Journal, talks about how, he knew that after all of the talking and the red line, and Obama just would never be convinced to take a stronger stance, and that, his latest tweet at the top of his Twitter feed is, praise Donald Trump. So
well, I think that's a fair point, and then but again, because of the lack of rhetorical discipline, you get Wall Street Journal editorials out of the G20 summit, such as "Putin is not America's friend," which is kind of lecturing both Trump and Tillerson about Vlad Putin, in part because of what Rexon said, where he said, by and large, our objectives, meaning the U.S. and Russia, are exactly the same. How we get there, we each have a view, but there's a lot more commonality to that than there are differences. So we want to build on that commonality, and we spent a lot of time talking about next steps. Of course, the criticism of that statement is obvious, which is, wait, we have the same objectives. Russia's been propping up Assad. Russia ostensibly knew about the chemical weapons attacks. Russia has not been a good faith actor in this space because for the very reason that our interests are not the same. Our objectives are not the same. Now, what and Priebus said this on Fox News Sunday with Wallace, what Tillerson and to some extent Trump may be signaling is what others have suggested who are experts in Middle East foreign policy, that Assad to Russia is sort of a useful idiot for the time being, but they're not necessarily averse to seeing him replaced. It just has to be replaced on a different timeline perhaps than America's, and the replacement and what that does in terms of to stability in the region from Russia's perspective matters. So maybe they're telegraphing that Assad's days are numbered. It's difficult to say, but that's perhaps it. But the problem is statements like that seem to me are unnecessary. You are selling past the close, which is we achieved a Syrian ceasefire, and this is what you do in politics, including geopolitics. You don't make friends. This isn't a signal that Vlad Putin is our buddy. This is a signal that we were able to align interests to make progress in Syria, which is to stop the murdering for the time being.
Well, right, but it was also contextually, it was one or two responses after a what? How long did he talk to the press after this meeting and answered every question and basically walked through, very transparent about what they talked about? I still just think the broader point gets missed, that the Trump administration has done more to fight Islamic State in Syria than Obama did in 6 years. And that is getting lost by a little comment. It's not a little comment, but still, I don't want to get caught up in one sentence. If you listened to the press conference or you watched it, they were very transparent about every conversation that happened during the meeting.
Well, right, perhaps too transparent. And this is the Trump tweet about an impenetrable cybersecurity unit so that election hacking and many other negative things will be guarded. Putin and I discussed forming this impenetrable cybersecurity unit so that election hacking and many other negative things will be guarded. Of course, this was treated with ridicule, including from some Republicans like Marco Rubio. And then later in the day, yesterday, Trump essentially recast that earlier tweet by saying the fact that President Putin and I discussed the cybersecurity unit doesn't mean I think it can happen. It can't, but a ceasefire can and did. Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Well, then why did you tweet about the cybersecurity unit in the first place? I mean, it's just that's the kind of a thing that undermines all of the substantive work that is positive that we're discussing.
And what else is new with Trump and Twitter and undermining tax policy and Obamacare and everything else because he has no discipline to stay off of Twitter and keep his mouth shut? I mean, that's common. We shouldn't be surprised by that. But I just keep remembering how when Tillerson came in, remember there was all this there was uproar because he wasn't allowing press to accompany him. He put out some sort of a statement at one point, sort of snarky. It was a blank piece of paper. And now he has actually, I think, become extremely accessible. And I don't know. To me, this was another example of that.
Well, for a contrary opinion, because we like to give everybody their say on this show.
No.
Yeah.
No.
For to broad parameters of discussion, and this is on the Trump-Putin meeting specifically, so this is on point. This is a video that went viral over the weekend. This is from, I think a fair representative of the P-Hat posse that's out there resisting.
P-E-A?
P-Hat.
Okay.
Capital P.
Got it.
Dash hat.
Okay, thank you.
Here she is.
Well, my Friday's ruined. It's absolutely ruined. I get up and I go and I turn on the news. First thing I see is Trump, not my president, Trump, shaking Vladimir Putin's hand. And I'm like, wow, and then
here come the waterworks.
And then to top it off, Trump, not my president, taps Putin on the back. It was like a tap, And I'm like, there is your collusion, people.
There it is.
Like, if you can't see that, seriously, if you can't see that, there's something wrong with you. There's something seriously wrong with you. I mean, I should be an investigative journalist because
Clearly.
And then, Trump, not my president, was looking at Putin, and he started blinking. He was blinking at him. And then Putin looked back at Trump, and he was blinking at Trump. And they were, both standing there blinking at each other. And it was like, oh, my gosh. It's like Morse code. They're communicating. They're plotting for 220. And I felt so helpless, I wish I could stop it. Just my Friday is just ruined. It's just my whole weekend's ruined now.
Is she trying to get a job at CNN with Jim Acosta? Sounds like it.
Yeah, that was so emotional.
Oh my God, who is this person?
She's just an every woman of the left. She is somebody who listens to Madonna or listens to Ashley Judd and says, there are some people making sense.
I had heard about this rant, but I hadn't actually listened to it until just now.
Well, and also
that
now
is so precious.
Now you have to go back and re-examine all of the video and the pictures that came out of the G20 summit and the Trump-Putin meeting to really understand what was going on.
I missed the blinking. That went way over my head. I didn't see that. communication.
That's why she should be on the Chicago
She
Tribune
should
editorial
be.
board. And
I'm going to reach out to her.
And speaking of CNN, Jeff Zeleny, he's an actual reporter at CNN. See if you can distinguish these two, because it's difficult. Jeff Zeleny over the weekend talking about Trump's speech in Poland that was so well received. Well, here's what that speech really was.
Thousands and thousands of people were waving American flags and Polish flags. But this is not a speech he could have given really any place else. And this is a white America first kind of speech. He was offering a very stark view, actually, about about migration, about immigration, about other things. It wasn't a modern day speech, if you will. It was sort of a throwback speech.
That was a white America first speech, a defense of Western civilization that he could have only given in Warsaw. Not in this country. I'll tell you what, let's put the P-Hat posse member over at CNN, and then we could get Jeff Zeleny a tenured professorship in history over at Harvard or some other Ivy League school.
He's a former Tribune reporter.
I bet he is.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply.
Have you ever forgotten your password? With all the accounts you have and all the rules around passwords, remembering every single one is impossible. That's why millions of people are turning to Dashlane, the award-winning app that protects your passwords and creates an easy, secure way to access all of your accounts. And right now, you can get access to Dashlane free for life on your favorite device just by texting SECURE to 543-543. Over 6 million users manage their passwords with Dashlane. Over 6,000 companies trust Dashlane. And over 70,000 reviews give it a 5-star rating. But the only number that really matters? 0. Because that's how many times you'll forget your passwords using Dashlane. With Dashlane, your passwords are never misplaced and never forgotten. Simple, safe, secure. Unlock free access to Dashlane on your favorite device for life right now. Just text SECURE to 543-543. That's SECURE to 543-543.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My air conditioner broke down.
Sorry, but your home insurance doesn't cover air conditioner breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my air conditioner?
I'm afraid not.
But his air conditioner could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Be sure with the Shield. American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. That's 1-800-700-2119. 1-800-700-2119.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. Belied by his promiscuity and policy is a discipline President Trump possesses that few other Republican politicians do. Trump knows who his audience is, who it is not, and he consistently leverages the latter to maintain the loyalty of the former. Trump is still speaking to and for the deplorables, those forgotten Americans who play by the rules only to be gamed by the system they finance. Al Cervic got into the club, but instead of cozying up to Judge Schmales, he's bringing his friends in with him. You can at once blanch at Trump's behavior and appreciate the truth it generates. Rocco Moose helped NATO allies find their wallets, and they did. The more lurid Trump's conduct or supercilious his comment, the more Trump's opponents voluntarily lay bare their barbarism. Trump tweets a fake wrestling video. CNN hyperventilates about make-believe violence. In stark contrast to the short shrift it gives actual violence perpetrated by the left, be it an assassination attempt on GOP congressmen, riots at Berkeley, assaults of professors, or attacks on police. The success of Trump's presidency remains an open question, but at least he knows for whom he fights.
Hi, this is Jeff from Basement Flood Protector. Your sump pump is the only thing in your home standing in the way of water rushing in and damaging the personal belongings you care so deeply about. Yet it is often the most overlooked and unappreciated system in your home. Your car has a check engine light, your computer warns against viruses, and your fridge tells you when to change the filter. So why shouldn't a sump pump warn you if there's a risk of losing tens of thousands of dollars in water damage? A pump that just beeps warnings at you is no good if you don't hear it. Over the decades of our business, we've experienced and analyzed every reason why people's homes flood. With today's technology, we believe that flooding is not just unacceptable, it is now completely preventable. That's why today's best practice for flood prevention is to install a protector system with built-in self-testing and notification. We are Basement Flood Protector. Protecting homes from flooding is all we do. I invite you to call today at 800-238-0822 or visit don'tflood.com to learn more and for no-nonsense pricing. That's 800-238-0822 or don'tflood.com. Use the call letters of this station for a 5% discount.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
5:57. Let's get an update on the roads this morning in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Flight delays and cancellations are an issue this morning at Chicago's airports, especially Midway. Eden's traffic inbound is just a little heavy approaching the junction. The speeds are reduced everywhere due to the conditions. Outbound, got about a 4-minute delay from Montrose to Niles Center. Kennedy, 25 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 33, with additional delays on westbound 190 from the Kennedy to Manheim. Eisenhower, 33 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 29. Stevenson, 50 minutes, 355. Lakeshore Drive, outbound okay. Bryan is 30 minutes from 95th to the Loop. Traffic is a service of Accountemps. Finding highly skilled accounting and finance professionals can be a challenge. Let Accountemps help. With Accountemps' extensive network of accounting and finance candidates, you can be sure to find the professional with skills for your hiring needs. Visit Accountemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Periods of rain, some heavy with a thunderstorm early, then a severe thunderstorm late in the afternoon, which could bring flash flooding and damaging winds. Otherwise, it will be breezy with clouds breaking forth. Some sun, high 84. Strong evening thunderstorm tonight, low 67. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 75 at O'Hare, 76 along the lakefront. Your next news is at 6 and at 5:59 in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. 3 Chicago police officers scheduled to be arraigned on charges. They conspired to cover up the actions of a white colleague who fatally shot a black teen 16 times. Family and friends are mourning the shooting death of a 17-year-old girl over the weekend in Des Plaines. 6 are in legal trouble after a banner was hung last week at Chicago's Trump Tower. And the Rolling Meadows Police Department, going back to the dogs again, bringing back its police dog unit after 4 years of disbandment. Pirates crush the Cubs, while the Rockies beat the White Sox. The news is a service of Napa Auto Parts. It's that time of year when a scorching hot day can pop out of nowhere. So the folks at Napa would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on that sidewalk, you can fry your car's battery. That's Napa know-how. Currently 75, WIND Chicago Newsroom, 6.
Donald Trump Jr. trying to explain himself. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The president's eldest son reacting to a story in the Russian campaign meddling probe. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Donald Trump Jr. said he was asked by an acquaintance to meet with Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya, who was described to him as somebody who, in his words, might have information helpful to the campaign. An initial statement from the president's son made no mention of Hillary Clinton. The meeting in New York City was also attended by Jared Kushner, the president president's son-in-law and senior advisor, and Paul Manafort, President Trump's campaign chairman at the time. Trump Jr. says the meeting yielded no meaningful information. A spokesman for President Trump's outside legal team said the president was not aware of and did not attend the meeting. Dave?
Now, John, President Trump's shooting down on Twitter the idea of a joint cybersecurity unit with Russia, writing the fact that he and President Putin discussed it doesn't mean it can happen. The president also just tweeted former FBI Director James Comey leaked classified information to the media, adding that is so illegal. Reacting to a report in The Hill, Comey put classified info in his personal memos. A New York State trooper shot dead. The suspected gunman is a U.S. soldier. Fox's Tanya J. Powers on the case live.
Right now, Justin Walters, an active duty Army soldier stationed at Fort Drum, is in custody. He surrendered after Trooper Joel Davis and Walters' wife were killed last night at a home near the Canadian border. Trooper Davis was responding to a call of shots fired just after 8 o'clock. He was approaching the house when he was shot. He leaves behind a wife and 3 kids, Dave.
Tanya, a police officer was also shot last night in Ohio, also responding to a domestic dispute at a home in Uniontown. We don't know how badly hurt he is. The suspect's in custody. Several wildfires have chased thousands of people from their homes in Arizona and California.
We jumped that retardant line, and it grew rapidly.
Santa Barbara County Fire Captain Dave Zanaboni. A few dozen buildings have burned down there and north of Sacramento. Fox News, fair and balanced.
According to the forecast, it's going to be a long, hot summer.
Russian collusion.
James Comey.
Obstruction of justice. Impeachment. White House leaks. Jeff Sessions. Climate change. Islamic terrorism. Vladimir Putin.
Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for a very special event on Tuesday, August 22nd. It's the Summer of Trump, live at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, hosted by Joe Walsh and featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are available now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.12%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, we help keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance. So you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling for less than $1 a day. ADT. Home. Safe home.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best pillow available. You deserve a restful and relaxing summer. And the July radio deal using my name, Amy, in the promo code is the best deal available. It's the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, including 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for half the price. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic. And you get a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Change in the market shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. In fact, since World War II, we've seen a correction on average about once every 18 months. That's why Arlington Capital Management developed proprietary tools that help them to see what's beyond your investment horizon. Like an experienced ship captain uses tools to avoid stormy weather, Arlington Capital Management uses tools to guide you through market corrections before it's too late and help us decide when to capitalize on opportunity. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 to learn how their active management systems can help you. Each day, they actively explore the market, our economy, and all the variables that affect your investments. Stormy markets never cloud their vision. The professionals at Arlington Capital Management use their tools and experience to guide them. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 for a financial review. The number again is 855-471-5796 or learn more at arlington-capital.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune Ed Board, and Kristen from the G20 summit over the weekend, which on a few issues was the G19 and then Trump. The G19 and then America. David Burge noting on this, who's Iowa Hawk, by the way, great Twitterer, on the story that 500 police officers were injured.
Really?
500 police officers injured by protesters, the resistance, etc. This story coming from the Daily Caller. The mayor of Hamburg praised police for the heroic job they did while slamming rioters for destroying the city. It's unforgivable and indefensible, said the mayor. Merkel, one of the surrender European leaders, she's surrendering, she's one of the European leaders surrendering Western civilization to barbarians. I condemn in the strongest terms the unchained violence and unrestrained brutality that the police faced repeatedly during the G20, proximate cause of the kind of leadership that she has provided Germany and Europe, or the EU, I would add. Apparently, there are people who have no interest in the issues and instead go on a rampage of blind destruction in their own neighborhood. Tough police measures are the only response to that. Yeah, apparently there are these people. This is news to Angela Merkel. Apparently there are these people. They're called cultural Marxists. And Burge, Iowa Hawk, tweets, nothing says anti-fascist like guys dressed in black uniforms smashing windows and starting fires in Germany.
I know, but so she is, her reelection date is what, September 24th.
Yeah.
And her popularity, I know she doesn't have significant opposition, but she's still quite popular, not just with Germans, but internationally, according to this Pew poll. She's one of the most popular international leaders still.
Well,
which is just surprising. I mean, who are these?
Is it surprising? I mean, because here's the thing. It's the popularity of America and the popularity and politicians like Trump and the popularity of European leaders, the popularity of Germany, the popularity of Angela Merkel, as it relates to the U.S., seems to me inversely proportional, and for an understandable reason. So here's the Pew research. Do you care? Do you care about America's standing in the world? This is something that both parties use a little bit. America's standing in the world. Are we looked upon favorably by our allied countries and, well, certainly not our axis of evil opponents as well? And how is the president viewed in a global context? Do you care? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. There's low global confidence in Trump and lower ratings for the U.S., according to Pew Research. Are these numbers I'm about to share badges of honor, is what I'm asking. So when Obama left office, confidence in the U.S. president globally, 64%, 23% no confidence. Now, reversed, 74% no confidence in the U.S. president, 22% confidence. The view of the U.S. when Obama left office, 64% favorable, 26% unfavorable. Now that's down to 49% favorable, 39% unfavorable. Sharp declines. Should we be concerned? Well, if that doesn't jar you, as a global citizen, as the left would like to say, as men and women of the world, then listen to this commentary from Australian Broadcasting Company. Yes, that's government media. I mean, we have big government media here, too. They're just not all financed by the big government, I mean, except for PBS.
Are you taking a shot at our public radio partners?
No.
Okay.
Just
making sure.
Just making a point.
Okay.
American Broadcasting Company, Australian Broadcasting Company, political editor Chris Ullman on Trump's performance at the G20 and what it means for the future of the world.
He did make some interesting scripted observations in Poland about defending the values of the West, and he's in a unique position. He's the one man who has the power to do something about it. But it's the unscripted Trump that's real, a man who barks out bile in 140 characters, who wastes his precious days as president at war with the West's institutions like the judiciary, independent government agencies and the free press. He was an uneasy, lonely, awkward figure at this gathering, and you got the strong sense that some of the leaders are trying to find the best way to work around him. Donald Trump's a man who craves power because it burnishes his celebrity. To be constantly talking and talked about is all that really matters, and there is no value placed on the meaning of words, so what's said one day can be discarded the next. So what did we learn? We learned that Donald Trump has pressed fast forward on the decline of the United States as a global leader. He managed to isolate his nation, to confuse and alienate his allies, and to diminish America. He will cede that power to China and Russia, two authoritarian states that will forge a very different set of rules for the 21st century. Some will cheer the decline of America, but I think we'll miss it when it's gone.
Oh my goodness.
Is that fair? America is on decline. Trump, by not signing on to Paris, by not adopting European open borders posture, is ceding the decline of the U.S. to China, and
well, the list of countries where the opinion of the U.S. is plummeting, it's interesting, are Latin America, North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Gee, I wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because we have strengthened border policies. I love how the media keeps calling it a Muslim ban. It's not. But all of those reasons are feeding into this. And I just always have to question, we have a summary of what respondents to this poll said, but what were the questions, really? I mean, how were they framed?
Well, assume they were framed the same way, so you have reliable data. I mean, Pew knows what they're doing. Assume the questions were framed the same way they were framed when the question was put to these, a same representative sample about Obama. So what? Let's assume the numbers are accurate. They probably are. The question is, should we care, or should we see these bad numbers as badges of honor? Because, I'm sorry, which country is it that we want to emulate? Which country is it that that we look at and say, well, we want their approval because they are further along in X, Y, or Z than we are? We're the greatest nation in the world has ever seen, the most powerful and the richest, because we do what everybody else is doing? Is that how we got here? We should be the global leader by doing what everybody else is doing, by following everybody else. Is that how you should? The way you become a leader is by following.
Well,
I mean, come on.
I mean, there are other questions in this poll where they do say that Trump is arrogant, intolerant, and dangerous, but also a strong leader. Okay.
Yeah.
How are you going to slice and dice that?
An arrogant politician, that really separates him from everybody else at the G20.
Right. Yes. And, our image is on the rise in places like Poland, Russia, Israel, and Hungary. So we've got that going for us.
Yeah. People that have a real aversion to totalitarianism through experience. That's interesting, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Here's something else interesting. Maybe we should be more like our friend Trudeau up in Strange Brew country. Up in, the Mackenzie brothers up there, north of the border. Maybe we should be more like him, because Trudeau is an enlightened socialist who is offering an apology on behalf of the Canadian government and paying $10.5 million to a terrorist named Omar Khadr, who murdered an American soldier and blinded another one. He was situated at Gitmo for a time. And when he was released, thanks to President Obama cleaning out Gitmo, the response from the Canadian government was to issue this apology and, along with a $10.5 million check, and try and bury it, by the way, to this individual for the indignities he suffered by being imprisoned by the U.S. in Gitmo.
Mm-hmm.
So, should we be more like our friend Justin Trudeau?
There are some saying, I mean, I think these are just opinion columnists, but saying that he should be charged with treason, that, as a general rule, this is from one of the commentators on that case, and in every other case that I've ever heard of, you keep money out of the hands of people who would build bombs or throw hand grenades at your own soldiers. But he didn't.
Yeah, that seems to be fairly straightforward.
Would be.
And, the election meddling thing, too. Because I know the left is very concerned about our standing in the world. We want to get approval from the dictators, the Marxists, the failed states. We want to get approval from all of them. What does Robert Mugabe think of America? It's really important to me. What do the Islamic theocrats in North Africa and the Middle East and Central Asia, what do they think of America? Gosh, I lose sleep at night. What do they think of our president? Please like us. That's what's important. The other thing, election meddling, since that was the topic, a central topic over the weekend as well, particularly in his meeting with Putin, of course, is the left is so concerned about election meddling because they want to protect the integrity of our elections, right? That's the premise. Well, why are they so only concerned with international election meddling? What about domestic election meddling?
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you heard somebody of the left talk about voter fraud that occurs in this country? Where we
How
have
about in this city?
We have demonstrable cases. Last month there was a UVA student who pled guilty to voter fraud. That's an actual case. It's a real thing that actually happened. In this city, of course, Chicago, notorious instances of more votes than registered voters in particular precincts. We did a story in one of my papers, February of this year, looking at the 2014 general election, finding 50,000 duplicate voter registrations. Now, did that necessarily mean fraud? No, but are you running a tight ship? We found also 68 people in Illinois voted twice, so a total of 136 votes. So those are 68 instances of voter fraud. 68 people in Illinois were denied the franchise because somebody else voted twice. Do you care about voter fraud in those contexts? Now, the studies that have been done about the number, which are substantial, the range of numbers, because it's hard to do precise work in this area, the range of numbers of persons here illegally who voted in past presidential elections that academics have done these studies that we've talked about as well. None of that is of any particular concern. But Russia's failed attempt at election meddling is the only thing standing between us and certainty in terms of free and fair elections.
You know what is a broader case to me when you talk about voter suppression and especially in this city, it might not be people illegally showing up and voting as much as it is how the Democrats kick people off the ballot, how they write the election rules that then help incumbents, how you have township supervisors rounding up residents and driving them to polling places and giving them promises or a luncheon afterward. How do you think some of the aldermen on the city council who are white continue to serve in growing Hispanic wards?
How about
how they'll change a polling place? You want to suppress the vote in that Hispanic block? I've been told this. Suddenly, on election day, when those people start to show up at their regular polling place, there's been a malfunction inside, and so then they have to go somewhere else.
Water main break,
whatever. The lights are down. We can't. That is what they do. That is what the Democrats in the city do in some of these areas. Yet that's the party of anti-voter suppression.
Right. What about using gangbangers? I mean, that's
sure.
Chicago has a storied history of involving gangbangers in the election of aldermen. And you want to talk about intimidation. I'm not talking about at a polling place. I'm talking about in a neighborhood. Gangbangers to whip the vote for a particular candidate, or usually aldermanic candidate, but also state legislative candidates. That's happened. It's been documented, not by the left and not by the right either. It's been think pieces like in Chicago Magazine. How about, to your point about moving polling places, how about moving elections? How about when Mike Madigan moved up the primary in 2010? 2008, and it was still in effect in 2010, moved it forward to February as opposed to March
Obama.
to front load Illinois for Obama in 2008. Right. So you done
and then changed it back.
Yeah, after
signature
2010.
requirements, everything that they write the election code. It comes up kind of an omnibus bill every year in Springfield, and it's just a little tweak. Oh, we're going to make signature requirements this or that to make it easier for incumbents to run, harder for independents to run. And I mean, he is the Democratic Party in particular. I can't tell you the number of races I've covered where there's an Irish woman running, and Madigan doesn't want her to win, so then he loads up the ballot with fake candidates.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Irish women, so that to confuse voters. There are absolutely legitimate and purposeful ways to try to confuse voters and make the ballot false.
Madigan did it in his own district when Jason Gonzalez ran against him. Jason Gonzalez running against me. He's a real candidate. I'll put two other Hispanic candidates that are fake candidates on the ballot.
Right. And I would chase them down. I mean, and this happened in the suburbs too, places like Orland Park, and I'd stand on this one woman's doorstep and try to. Her own mother didn't even know she was running for office. Gee, you think she's a real candidate? No, she's a stand-in. She's going to get something in return for it. She's going to get a payout. She's going to get a promotion somewhere. I mean, to me, that's fraud.
The only thing more ridiculous than engaging Russia for a cybersecurity unit to prevent election meddling would be engaging Chicago Democrats for the same purpose.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
After that, I want to go to a love story. Coming up is a proposal
I don't want to miss.
You won't forget. Yeah.
Oh, I've been waiting, Dan, for years for you to get on your knee. Wow. Today, your weather forecast, severe thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening, so grab your umbrella as you're leaving. High of 84 degrees and then dropping to 67 degrees tonight. Let's get a check of how that rain is impacting the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Well, it's not making things fun, Kristen, that's for sure. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. At Waukegan, we've got some flooding. Sunset Avenue is closed because of the water between Northwestern Avenue and Delaney Road. Quite a few flight delays and cancellations. A lot of cancellations at Midway today. Eden's inbound, 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 21. The Kennedy, 35 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. It's slow all the way in. A little quicker than the Express. Outbound, it's 33 minutes. There are delays on westbound 190 as well. The Eisenhower, 45 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 39. Stevenson, 57 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 35. Ryan is 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. Outbound at 87. Crash with injuries in the left lane. I-57, 30 minutes. I-80 to the merge, Bishop 426, northbound Tri-State. Slow 95th to 31st. And from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Eastbound Adams Tollway jam. The Tri-State to the Kennedy. No significant delays to report in northwest Indiana. Jim Talamonte, the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
How would you like to have insurance for your computer network? Something to protect your hardware and software, and more importantly, give you peace of mind. Using Turnkey IT for installation and support of your systems is like having insurance for your computer network. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of certified technicians who are there for you, working in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They'll help you over the phone to make house calls to your workplace. And Turnkey IT doesn't wait until there's an emergency call, because they work hard to take preventative measures, keeping networks secure, backed up, and running nonstop. Turnkey IT can protect your network with the turnkey experience, where everything is included: Office 365 hosting, advanced network protection, cloud backup, disaster recovery, and unlimited remote and on-site support. Find out what Turnkey IT can do for your company today. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Are you facing foreclosure, been foreclosed upon, in a bad modification, or just stuck in a bad mortgage? Well, we may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. We defend foreclosure actions. We bring claims against the banks and the servicers for wrongful foreclosure and other violations of mortgage servicing regulations. And we help people negotiate modifications of their existing mortgages, often including principal reductions. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest analysis, counsel, and advice regarding your options.
Hi, this is Rayanne from Lou Bridges & Associates. I am one of the loan modification processors here, and if you are in need of any additional information in regard to a loan modification, please contact the office.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
As the head of procurement for my company, I was sweating a big deadline and got tired of calling my printer for updates, only to hear excuses. So I heard about McGrath Printing Custom Apparel and gave them a call. I got A+ service, and they beat the deadline. McGrath Printing really saved my...
I'm a supply chain manager for a Fortune 500 company, and we had $50,000 of product waiting for instruction manuals because our printer couldn't deliver on time. One call to McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, and they saved my...
At McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, they've been saving companies for over 35 years. Give them a call at 815-356-5246. That's 815-356-5246. And mention code AM560 and get 20% off your first order. So remember,
go to where the pros go. McGrathPrint.com. McGrathPrint.com.
If you did not purchase health insurance coverage during the 2017 open enrollment, I can help you purchase a PPO health insurance plan at any time during the year. This is Tom Marabali, your health insurance advocate and independent producer for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and other health insurance carriers. If you are between the ages of 19 and 64, you are automatically paying for maternity coverage whether you want the coverage or not. If you are a non-smoking 50-year-old male or female living in the city of Chicago, the monthly premium rate for a 100% tax-deductible health savings account PPO plan would be $590 per month. But I can show you how to eliminate the mandatory maternity benefit and lower your monthly premiums down to approximately $240 per month. To see if you qualify or for more information, call me, Tom Marabali, at 630-863-3477. That's 630-863-3477.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning. And Kristen, this is what I call a well-timed marriage proposal.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this.
This is the story of Brandon Thompson of Muskogee, Oklahoma, and Leandria Keefe, his lady love. They got engaged this week. But she wasn't the only one that got some jewelry because Brandon Thompson, in again, one of the most well-timed marriage proposals I've ever seen. He was arrested by police shortly before the proposal, so he was put in handcuffs, and he asked them if he could, if the officers would allow him to proposition his girlfriend before he was taken for booking and processing because he was a fugitive with 6 outstanding felony warrants.
Oh. For what? Do we know?
Don't know the particulars, but he got arrested, put in cuffs,
Then he went up to his girlfriend and asked her to marry him. The police officers obliged because, hey, who hasn't been there?
I mean, unconditional love, Dan, is what it's all about.
And who hasn't, had police interrupt a relationship and the relationship taking an important next step, too.
Right.
So the good news is she said yes. That's the good news for her. And the good news for him is that he won't have to deal with her again for about 8 to 10 years.
Oh.
And the song they'll play at their wedding is?
Jailhouse Rock.
Close. Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson. Okie from Muskogee.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah, Muskogee. Yeah, very nice. All right. And with that perfect segue, we turned it over to Mike Scott for the news.
72 degrees, rain showers, winds east at 8 in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Congress gets back to work today from the 4th of July recess. One of the most pressing issues facing returning lawmakers is health insurance reform, and they only have 3 more weeks to sort it out. Republicans in the Senate throwing up all kinds of roadblocks right now. In New York, a Fort Drum soldier accused of killing a state trooper near the Canadian border in the town of Teresa. Police say active duty infantryman Justin Walters surrendered last night after a woman and trooper Joel Davis were shot and killed. The identity of the woman was not officially released, but early reports suggest it was Walters' wife. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson embarks on his first shuttle diplomacy mission, hopping between Gulf Arab states in a bid to resolve the crisis over Qatar that has embroiled the region. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was busy trying to sell Sunday President Trump's idea of working with Russia on cybersecurity.
I think this is a very important step forward, that what we want to make sure is that we coordinate with Russia, that we're focused on cybersecurity together, that we make sure that they never interfere in any democratic elections or conduct any cybersecurity.
While it seemed to be a good idea, by the end of the day, that idea was no longer in play. Thousands still under evacuation orders in California as fires threaten homes in Santa Barbara County. Scores of fires continue to scorch the West and Canada. 3 Chicago police officers are scheduled to be arraigned on charges they conspired to cover up the actions of a white colleague who fatally shot a black teen 16 times. The trio, tied to the Laquan McDonald case, have not been arrested and are allowed to show up today at the hearing on their own. Chicago police are searching for a person who stabbed a man to death at the 95th Street Red Line station on the south side. Corvell Brown was attacked yesterday following a major verbal dispute with the suspect near 95th and State. Having a reason to get up in the morning appears to help you sleep much better at night. New research from our friends at Northwestern University at Evanston apparently finds those with a purpose in life will sleep more soundly. Subjects in the study were all elderly, but researchers believe the findings apply to people of all ages. Pirates crushed the Cubs 14-3. Rockies beat the White Sox 10-zip ahead of the All-Star break. The news service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it? Dove Men Plus Care users say they don't know how it works, but it gets the job done. Pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant for yourself at your local retailer. 6:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees a world upside down.
The brainwashed, educated, they're sick. The world is upside down. Good is bad and bad is good. It's just, in every arena, it's hard to get your mind around it.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Don't spend another night worrying about unfiled tax returns or the letters or the calls you're getting from the IRS. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, there's actually good news. The IRS has recently enacted changes in the tax law called the Fresh Start Initiative. specifically for troubled taxpayers who owe the IRS. You may be able to settle your entire tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest, if you qualify. Call Mary Karpowitz of locally owned Comprehensive Tax Solutions for your free consultation. No matter your tax issue, Mary Karpowitz, an enrolled agent and certified tax resolution specialist, will show you the difference between night and day. Quit hiding from the IRS. Call now so you can enjoy what matters most. And don't call a toll-free number to represent you. Call Mary, 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. Call now, 708-478-6770.
7:35. Let's get an update on the roads and the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. In Waukegan, Sunset Avenue is closed northwestern to Delaney due to flooding. Quite a few flight delays and cancellations due to the weather. Edens runs 25 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. Kennedy, now 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 17 from Montrose, 24 in the Express. Outbound, 27 minutes to Montrose, an hour to O'Hare. Inbound Eisenhower, 50 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 42. Stevenson, 57 minutes, 3:55 to the drive, outbound 35. Orion, 35 minutes, 95 to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, delays are from Cicero to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Adams Tollway from the Tri-State to the Kennedy. Traffic is a service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, the Napa Bucket for $3.99 is back. Not only will you get 20% off 3 or more items you can fit inside, you'll also donate $1 to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund with purchase. While supplies last, exclusions apply. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We've had some severe storms cross the area this morning and move on into northwest Indiana. Storms could reoccur this afternoon, bringing flooding and damaging winds. A high of 84. Currently 74. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy, with our friend Kristen McCreary sitting in for Amy this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. But in for Amy is Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board membress. And Kristen, the Chicago Tribune ed board has opined on the issue of, and the life, that's the issue, of Charlie Gard. This is the 11-month-old infant across the pond in the UK who has been taken by the state, and they won't give him back to his parents. He has a terminal illness. It's mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome, a rare disease. NICE, the Orwellian-entitled state-run healthcare in the UK, has been unable to remedy Charlie Gard's condition. So his parents raised about $1.5 million to bring him over to the United States for medical treatment. We talked about the story when it first broke last week, but we're revisiting it because it should be. And so they raised this $1.5 million to bring him to the U.S. for experimental treatment, and the British government won't release the infant boy to his parents. And it's interesting to me because it seems that Charlie Gard could be the face of government-run healthcare in the world, and particularly with the debate raging in this country and John McCain over the weekend declaring Obamacare replaced dead in the Senate. Republicans could be making this case a great example of the ghoulishness of government, and reminding people that government is not a synonym for compassion. Government is a synonym for force, for control. Your children are not your children. They're the government's. And the government is just comprised of fallible, craven human beings like you see everywhere else in society. So disabuse yourself of this fallacy, as Ambrose Bierce observed, of private vice becoming public virtue. The jerk next to you, when he gets a government job, is all of a sudden morally superior. No. And you have now, to be fair, you've had two Republican members of Congress, Trent Franks from Arizona and Brad Wenstrup, who's a doctor from Ohio. They're planning and introducing legislation that would facilitate Charlie Gard coming here. The parents of Charlie Gard delivered 350,000 signatures on petitions, 350,000 signatures of British citizens, demanding that they be, on a petition demanding that they be allowed to take him to the United States for treatment. And now there is a new hearing on Charlie Gard's status with respect to his parents' ability to control his destiny today.
And the courts have already weighed in. It's not just the hospital which has taken the position that, because it's a single payer system, they get to decide that keeping him on a ventilator would cause him too much pain. So, and the other, not only will they not let him come to the United States,
they get to decide.
They get to choose. I mean, it makes my blood boil. This is a beautiful 11-month-old baby whose parents are doing everything they can to save his life. And the mother is quoted in a news article today saying, he's our son, he's our flesh and blood. We feel that it should be our right as parents to decide to give him a chance at life. He deserves this chance. And here you have, because of the single-payer system, the government saying no. And not only will they not release him to come here, they won't even let him go home with his parents to die if that's the other alternative.
Well, because the parents are subordinate to the state.
Oh, it's absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, this is a beautiful child, and it astounds me that
could never happen here, though.
Well,
could never happen here, right?
That's what people say. But if you look at the prospect of single payer as being so far out of reach, I mean, we have Medicare, we have Medicaid that accounts for about 40% of healthcare spending in this country. We have Bernie Sanders almost as the Democratic nominee, an avowed socialist, single payer advocate. So don't tell me that this is far-fetched and it's not an appropriate example. Yes, it is.
Where are we hearing from the D.C. press corps challenging Democrats and proponents of single payer like Comrade Bernie on this issue?
I haven't seen anything.
I haven't heard it.
Absolute crickets.
What about Zeke Emanuel? If there could be a more ghoulish Emanuel brother than Rahm, Zeke would be it. Remember his 75 and out?
Right.
Now, of course, that was just a personal opinion. The fact that he is one of the architects of Obamacare, a backdoor single payer, which included death panels. That's what they are, government rationing panels. Call them what you want. They get to the same place as England is. Maybe not as fast, but that's the path they're on. 75 and out. At 75, I'm done. I want to be gone. And if I want to be gone, then probably I want you to be gone,
yeah,
too.
you're useless after 75.
So what
you
about
have no value?
What about the life of Charlie Gard? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And what about his life as an opportunity to have the discussion about government's involvement in health insurance and health care at this watershed moment in American history where we're either going to continue down this path of to single payer, to government takeover of healthcare and healthcare decisions. Healthcare decisions. The conversation about government-run healthcare is always about the provision of services. What about the decision part? What about the decision not to provide services? Did you ever think of that? This idea that if government is involved in something, it is necessarily a good because they're a service provider. That government, as I said, is compassion when in point of fact government is force, it's control. This is an opportunity, it seems to me, that maybe with the exception of those two Republican congressmen, and frankly, even their response is a little late and a little anemic, you could have a national discussion about what the system for health care and correspondingly health insurance is in this country so that we can avoid ever having the state with so much power as to separate child from parents like we see across the pond.
And also, I don't see this written about as much with this story, but where is this family who is looking for the most advanced medical care looking to come to the United States?
Yeah, right, exactly.
And you never, the doctors in London where he's being treated say, there's nothing else we can do. Guess where there is something else where we think we can do? Here.
Well, Brian Mulroney, the former Canadian Prime Minister, when he had to have major heart surgery, did he use Canadian single-payer system? No, he went to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. When John Stroger, Cook County Board President, had a stroke, was he taken to Stroger Hospital? No, he was taken to Northwestern. So it's not just competition in terms of what the U.S. provides generally versus other countries. It's also what private hospitals provide versus effectively public hospitals in this country. And who wants to go where in their moment of need.
And who gets to.
And who gets to, absolutely. Absolutely. So the life of Charlie Gard takes another twist in the, the battle of the court battles. And oh, by the way, the idea that this kid's life is all contingent on which medical experts, which technocrats a British judge decides to side with. I mean, there's nothing redeeming about this either. Oh, and while this legal battle wages on, what's happening? There's an opportunity cost to be paid for the treatment, the experimental treatment the child is not getting. While the government commissars argue about whether or not it's within their purview to keep him from his parents or not.
I mean, this is someone who, a child with this sort of disease usually dies in infancy. They rarely even make it to this 11-month-old milestone that he's at.
And apparently British doctors are sorry he did.
I know. It's heartbreaking because the parents at different points, I mean, imagine their just heartbreak over this, have wanted to bring him home. They want to give him a bath. They want to touch his hair. They want to hold him. If he is going to pass away, if this is something that is that cannot be overcome, they don't want to do this in the hospital. And that's where it started with the doctor saying, no, you can't take him.
President Trump has tweeted out support for Charlie Gard. If we can help, we would be delighted to do so. Vatican spokesman said Pope Francis is following the case, praying for the parents' desire to accompany and care for their own child to the end is not ignored. That seems to me a insufficient response, and I think the Charlie Gard case should be ratcheted up in the public discourse in this country, particularly in the context of what we're contemplating as a cautionary tale, in addition to putting increased pressure on Theresa May and her government, our special relationship, to allow Charlie Gard and his parents to come here for the experimental treatment that Charlie Gard needs.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today is stormy. Severe afternoon thunderstorms still on the way. If you're caught in the rain right now in traffic, there's more coming. Tonight, same thing. Strong evening thunderstorms that can bring flooding and damaging winds. High of 84 degrees today. And let's see how the weather is impacting traffic with Jim Talamonte.
It's a big factor, Kristen. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. There are quite a few flight delays and cancellations at Chicago's airports. A lot of flooding in the Kenosha area. Also in Waukegan, Sunset is closed. Northwestern and Delaney. In Mount Eden's delays start at Church Street, 32 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. Kennedy, 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown takes longer than the Express. Outbound, it's an hour downtown to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower, 50 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 42. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes. 3:55 to the drive, outbound 35 minutes. Ryan is 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 34 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Tri-state delays are northbound. Cicero to 31st. The Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Adams Tollway heavy from the Tri-State to the Kennedy. Reagan Tollway 22nd to the Ike. Veterans Memorial, slow bout into the Reagan Tollway. Northwest Indiana's okay. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Massive commuter headaches begin today in New York City. Amazon wards off a bidding war for Whole Foods. Tesla's Australian plans revealed. Those stories next.
The world's silver supply is vanishing at an alarming rate. 90% of the silver available at the turn of the century is already gone. Silver is an essential component in nearly every industry and is of strategic importance to every country on Earth. At American Bullion, we see a tremendous opportunity in owning silver today. Experts are calling it the next silver super cycle, projecting the price to double or more from its recent lows. During the last silver super cycle, prices increased by 500%. Plus, silver comes with built-in protection against a stock market crash, global uncertainty, and currency devaluation. So it's a great choice as part of your retirement account. Any IRA or old 401k can be easily converted into an IRA that holds physical silver. The entire process is quick, simple, and secure because American Bullion specializes in converting existing retirement accounts into silver, and it's 100% tax-free. Call 800-445-4546 now to receive our free silver investment kit. 800-445-4546. That's 800-445-4546.
A 2-month repair project at New York City's Penn Station begins this morning, and commuters expecting real struggles. Commuter lines from Long Island and New Jersey honeycomb the station. Subway lines go under it, and Penn Station is New York's only Amtrak stop. Economic reports today include the latest labor market index, an update on consumer credit. And in regulatory filings, we learn Amazon told Whole Foods that it would not be part of a sale process that involved other bidders. That move effectively putting an end to the possibility of a bidding war for the popular organic grocer. Tesla plans to build the world's largest lithium-ion battery plant in Australia. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Have you seen the store shelves that are already putting out the back-to-school supplies? The school year may seem like a million years from now, but it's actually just around the corner. And maybe this summer you've been rethinking sending your kids to public school. Things are changing in our public schools, and not always for the better. Now might be time to consider sending your child to a private school. Check out the new voucher research in Indiana and Louisiana school choice programs, by the way. And you can do it for half the price of regular tuition thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across Chicagoland available at half the normal price. No catch. It's simple. Find a private school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. Halfpriceschools.com has schools located across Chicagoland, including schools in Downers Grove, Palatine, Westchester, Bensonville, Kankakee, Romeoville, Aurora, Orland Hills. So don't delay. Schools will be starting again in a matter of weeks. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. Many of these vouchers are already sold out, so don't wait. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
Message and data rates may apply. Please don't text while driving.
Did you know your organization's logo can do far more than you think?
Your logo carried my clothes to the gym.
Your logo kept my coffee warm all morning. Your logo charged my phone last night.
When the highly trained team at 4imprint put your logo on things people actually use, you'll be amazed at how powerful your logo can be. Not only will we unleash the full power of your logo, we'll show you the top 3 promotional items for driving new customers absolutely free. Text TEAM to 642-642 now. Every time your customers enjoy one of our promotional items with your logo, they'll think of you. Plus, with free art assistance, we'll make every item look fantastic for a great price. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Your logo keeps my laptop safe.
Your logo keeps me dry. Attract new customers, reward employees, and make a lasting impression. Discover the top 3 promotional items for free. Text TEAM to 642-642. That's TEAM to 642-642.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show each morning. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series, Man on the Street, Follow the Logic segments, 2-minute warnings and dollars and cents about how politicians spend your money in this state and extract more of it, given recent developments. Podcast of our Illinois Rising program covering state policy and politics, as well as our new feature, Heart of the Matter, which is professional women talking about the salient issues of the day in a colleague-to-colleague sort of format. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
Raj Shah, host of Secure Retirement Radio.
Safety is what I preach as far as from an investment philosophy to protect your money. However, putting your money in CDs is not the only way to get safety. The whole problem is that people are not aware of what other options are available to create that safety net for your 401k or your IRAs.
Tune in for Secure Retirement Radio with Raj Shah, Sunday mornings at 7 here on AM 560, The Answer.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Message and data rates may apply. Please don't text while driving.
Did you know your organization's logo can do far more than you think?
Your logo carried my clothes to the gym.
Your logo kept my coffee warm all morning. Your logo charged my phone last night.
When the highly trained team at 4imprint put your logo on things people actually use, you'll be amazed at how powerful your logo can be. Not only will we unleash the full power of your logo, we'll show you the top 3 promotional items for driving new customers absolutely free. Text TEAM to 642-642 now. Every time your customers enjoy one of our promotional items with your logo, they'll think of you. Plus, with free art assistance, we'll make every item look fantastic for a great price. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Your logo keeps my laptop safe.
Your logo keeps me dry.
Attract new customers, reward employees, and make a lasting impression. Discover the top 3 promotional items for free. Text TEAM to 642-642. That's TEAM to 642-642.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy. And Kristen, interesting study out by creditcards.com, along with researchers from Princeton University on tipping. Best tippers and worst tippers according to gender, political affiliation, and region. Best tippers, male Republicans.
Oh, I don't know that that's number 1.
No, the best tippers, male Republicans.
Really? Okay.
Worst tippers, Scottie Pippen.
He doesn't tip at all, right?
No tipping
He's a dine and ditcher.
Worst tippers, female Democrats.
No.
Female Democrats.
No.
That's 16% median tip for female Democrats, 20% median tip for male Republicans. So you want to cozy up to the conservative-looking gentleman at your establishment if you are in the service industry.
I do have some experience with that. I used to chase people out the door if they stiffed me on a tip. Denny's, okay, I know. Oh. I wore the green polyester. It was a high school job. There's a story behind it.
The Tribune pays that little.
I worked at Denny's. I can tell you the whole month. If you like Moons Over Miami, I got you covered.
Grand Slam.
If you get the Grand Slam, how would you like your eggs? You want 4 strips of bacon, 4 pieces of sausage, or 2 of each. I got it all.
It's nice to have a career to
Olive
fall back
Garden.
on. Yeah.
Olive Garden. I worked there
Sure.
too. I worked at my grandma's nursing home, bringing food to people who lived at her assisted living home.
Why would you expect a tip there?
I did not.
Were you holding them up for tips? You're holding up elderly
That was
invalids?
the one place where I actually made minimum wage, so I did not seek or receive tips there. But lots of experience with restaurants, and so that makes me a very generous tipper.
Because of my experience caddying, I'm the same. Now stop boring us with the details of your life because it's time to get the news with Mike Scott.
3 Chicago police officers facing arraignment today. We'll tell you why. Will County training citizens on heroin overdose prevention. Pirates crush the Cubs with a 10-run first. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Wishful thinking.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Counselor to the President Kellyanne Conway tells critics about the latest story in the Russia probe involving Donald Trump Jr.
I think what's important here is that we're at day 200 or so of no evidence of Russian collusion.
Fox's John Decker's live at the White House.
Donald Trump Jr. said in a statement the Russian lawyer with whom he met in June of last year claimed she could provide potentially damaging information about Hillary Clinton. The 20 to 30-minute meeting did not involve President Trump, but did include senior advisor Jared Kushner and then campaign chairman Paul Manafort. The president's son did not disclose the full contents of the meeting when it was first made public by the New York Times. He says the meeting resulted in no meaningful information. The revelations about the meeting come as federal prosecutors and congressional investigators probe Russian campaign meddling. Dave?
John, the president's been tweeting and tweeting this morning, writing former FBI Director James Comey leaked classified information to the media. And he defended daughter and advisor Ivanka, sitting in for him at a G20 summit session, calling it very standard. Then he wrote, if Chelsea Clinton did the same, the fake news would say, Chelsea for president. U.S. soldiers jailed in upstate New York the morning after police say Justin Walters shot and killed a state trooper responding to a domestic dispute at his home in Theresa. The soldier's wife was also found dead. An Ohio police officer was also shot last night responding to a domestic dispute.
No sooner did they pull up and it looks like they were shot at almost immediately. A lot of shell casings being picked up in the middle of the street here. Police officers returned fire, killing the suspect, but one officer was hit 4 times.
Stacey Fry with Fox 8 TV in Uniontown. She says the officers in intensive care but stable. A Colorado camp staffer had a close encounter with a bear.
About 4 in the morning, I woke up to a crunching sound and like me being drugged, and I thought it was a dream.
It wasn't. His head was in his bear's mouth. He and other staffers fought the bear off. The bear ran away, and that 19-year-old was not badly hurt. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
72 degrees. We have rain showers this morning in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. 3 Chicago police officers are scheduled to be arraigned this morning on charges that they conspired to cover up the actions of a white colleague who fatally shot black teen Laquan McDonald 16 times. The 3 have not been arrested. They're being allowed to show up today at the hearing on their own accord. 3 are in stable condition following a shooting at Rainbow Beach Park. Chicago police say the victims, including a 15-year-old boy, were shot last night. All 3 were taken to South Shore Hospital. The suspect apparently ran off after the incident. An investigation continues this morning after a man was shot and killed by police on Chicago's northwest side. Authorities say officers were called to a home in the 2700 block of North LeClaire. That after the victim's parents reported that their son was holding his girlfriend and child against their will. Police were able to get the woman and child out of the house. The suspect remained uncooperative for several minutes and tried to run away. Officers shot that man to death after he ran a second time and jumped off a roof, fired a gun at officers. 6 are in legal trouble after a banner was hung last week at Chicago's Trump Tower. All 6 were charged yesterday with criminal damage to property and reckless conduct. This year's Taste of Chicago appears to be a success. Preliminary data from the city showing about 1.6 million of you attended the 37th edition of Taste, which ended yesterday. Pirates beat the Cubs 14-3. Rockies over the White Sox 10-0 to conclude the first half of the Major League Baseball season. The news service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it? Dove Men Plus Care users say that it's like the Hoover Dam, but for armpits. If it can hold back that much sweat, it must be good. Pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant for yourself at your local retailer. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.12%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling. Whether you're at home, your business,
or online, ADT helps keep you safe with security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling. ADT, home, safe home.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dave Geiselhart, president and owner of Home Trust Mortgage and customer of Signature Bank. When the large banks turned away from the mortgage lending industry during the financial crisis, I turned to locally owned Signature Bank. Signature Bank stepped in and helped me expand our business at a time when the larger banks wouldn't. Today, I'm proud to say Home Trust Mortgage has been able to expand our business in Illinois and the Great Lakes region. We couldn't have done that without the help of Signature Bank. Signature Bank truly helps Chicago businesses like mine grow and thrive. That's why we also became personal customers and shareholders of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads and the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Michael. Those thunderstorms are a factor. We got quite a few flight delays at O'Hare this morning, some cancellations at Midway, and there's some flooding, especially to the north. Eden's inbound delays start at Church, 32 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. Kennedy, 47 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 23 from Montrose, 19 in the Express. They're now quicker. Outbound, 34 minutes to Montrose, an hour and 10 minutes to the airport. Mount Eisenhower, 55 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 39 from Manheim. Outbound, 42 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 3:55 to the drive, 50 minutes from the Tri-State. Outbound, 35 minutes. Ryan is 35 minutes from 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, 34 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Southbound Lakeshore Drive till Belmont to Fullerton. There's a stall in a center lane. On the Tri-State, delays northbound from I-57 to Pulaski with a crash in the left lane. Then Cicero to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower, Reagan Tollway's Little Farnsworth to Winfield, 53 to 355 and 83 to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial from Boughton to Roosevelt. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, breezy for the morning with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm. Otherwise, humid with clouds breaking for some sun. A severe thunderstorm late in the afternoon. High today, 84. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we have 71 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy with our friend Kristen McCreary of the Chicago Tribune sitting in for Amy this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. And Kristen, turning our sights to the state again, I got to tell you, in response to the tax hikes that were rammed through last week, nothing like being insulted by your legislator if you disagree with him or her. And I cite Michael Fine, who is the husband of Laura Fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Democrat, Madigan roll call vote up there on the North Shore, Evanston, Wilmette, where people hate their money and hate you keeping yours, too. It's not just about them. It's also about taking yours. Michael Fine, writing in response to people who disagree with his wife's unsurprising vote for and enthusiastic vote for the tax hikes, no spending reforms. Let me know if you need a recommendation for a realtor. Southern Indiana is full of like-minded Trump people just like you. Bon voyage. Then somebody who suggested that Laura Fine had committed political suicide. Michael, apparently her de facto spokesman, said, political suicide, ha, here's a solution for you all. Pack up your families and move somewhere else, perhaps the southern states where guns, hate, immigrant bashing, and blaming are woven into the cultural fabric. Public education and social services are non-existent except for the 1%. You can live your lives on a compound. Bon voyage.
Mm-hmm. This is from her Facebook page, or no, her website. Okay, so she's relatively new, maybe in her second or third term, ran as a fiscal conservative. How about that? Passed budgets that were, let's see, consecutively $4 billion out of balance, $7 billion out of balance. And then now her husband is coming to her defense. This is what she says on her website. As your state representative, I am committed to fiscal accountability, bringing integrity back to Springfield, and most importantly, resolving our budgetary woes in a responsible and thoughtful manner.
Well,
we must
go ahead.
One more. We must continue to implement policies that encourage businesses to grow and create jobs, strengthen education, and protect consumers and the environment. Mm-hmm. So she, again, these suburban Democrats who put themselves out there as being fiscal conservatives and fiscally responsible, yet they let all of these unbalanced budgets fly through the General Assembly. And they just voted for a tax hike with none of the pro-business reforms that she claims to support on her website.
Yeah, all these fiscal conservatives are killing us. There's no question about it. Steve Anderson, by the way, led the Republican Surrender Caucus in the House, Republican from Geneva, pulled up an old article on him when he announced his candidacy for state rep, where he talked about wanting to lower taxes to improve the state's business climate. That was one of his campaign issues, his legislative goals, to lower taxes. He just led the Republican defection for Madigan's tax hikes and, again, no spend reform budget. Okay. And Chicago Tribune op-ed over the weekend. I assume this was also written by Clarence Page, who's been killing it lately on Illinois.
Editorial, not op-ed. Come on.
Okay.
Speak my language, please.
One of the sabotaging Illinois. That's the headline. Legislators' tax hike budget won't stanch the exodus of jobs and people. No, it will accelerate it. But this one sentence caught my eye. Decade after decade, the many lawmakers who undercut Illinois have rarely suffered consequences, except at my hands. Voters send them back to Springfield to repeat their failures, to keep bleeding the state of jobs and opportunity. So the question is, you going to do the same in 18? You're excited to send Laura Fine back, excited to send the 15 Republicans who defected back. That's the question. More of the same or something different? Well, one of the Republicans who voted for the tax hike with the 15, or among the 15, is Reggie Phillips. He's a state rep from Southern Illinois, from Charleston. He represents Eastern Illinois. And the Eastern Illinois' funding was central to two Republican defections, both Reggie Phillips as well as State Senator Dale Ryder. And, we've talked about Reggie a little bit last week because you have some empathy for his position.
I do.
I have less, even though I personally like Reggie a lot. I've gotten to know him. I supported him independently through my PAC when he ran for re-election. I was happy to do it because he's a successful businessman, great story, good family guy. I really like him personally, but I think he made a terrible decision last week voting in Liege with Madigan and Chicago Democrats for more of the same, and that's terribly problematic for Reggie Phillips, the state representative, because my view on politicians is they are means to policy ends. I don't care how much I like them or dislike them. They're the means to policy ends, and if they're not going to advance the economic liberty policy agenda in this state, then they need to be replaced. Well, that's just my view. But Reggie reached out to me, and he wanted to tell his side of the story, and at least he has the courage to stand forth and deliver on the rationale for his decision. So we're pleased to be joined by State Representative Reggie Phillips. Reggie, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan and Kristen.
So the floor is yours. Explain your vote.
Well, I guess I'd like to start with he is no fool who gives away what he does not own in order to get what he can't afford to lose. So with that statement, tell me, Dan, and this is a question back to you.
Okay.
What was my alternative?
To vote against it.
What was the governor and the Republicans' alternative? You actually came against the governor's proposed budget and the GOP's proposed budget. Remember, you were against it. As you recall, it was a $37.1 billion tax hike.
Right.
4.95% also.
Right, against that. I'm against that. I'm against tax hikes. Right.
You know what? And I here's the real problem. You know, if we could have held strong, all of us, 100%, and you know, the idea was that negotiations were still going on that Saturday, but that's really misleading because the negotiations fell apart somewhere between the 26th and the 28th. So the idea that negotiations were continuing on that Saturday, the 1st, that really wasn't true. On the Friday, the 30th, we took the vote for the Senate Bill 6 amendment. And remember, Madigan wanted 30 Republican votes on it. Well, this is all politics as usual because he knew he wasn't going to get 30 votes on it, but he really wanted to see how many votes he was actually going to get and if the Republicans would actually come, you know, and put any votes on it. And I don't remember what it was, but I think it was like 23 votes, 23 votes for that amendment, which it was, you know, it wasn't going anywhere. It was just to see if we would actually vote for it. And that's what started the momentum in the House, the fact that some of the Republicans are willing to vote for this tax increase. Because I looked at it as the alternative was still 4.95%. It was $37 billion unbalanced. And this one's $36 billion unbalanced. And I agree with you. You know, it's like being in a rock and a hard place. It's like I said this on the floor, it's like taking a hammer and pounding my left hand and then pounding my right hand just to see which one's going to hurt worse. And both of them are going to hurt. It's equally painful. So at this particular moment, what's the alternative? Okay, so the idea was, okay, give the governor, we've had 2.5 years of negotiation. Remember, World War II was over in 4 years, and that was a global war. So another 1.5 years would put us at that same amount of 4 years. What would we have in 4 years? Would we have a total surrender of Madigan? Well, let's see. No, probably not. 44 years in the House. There's a pretty good chance he was going to stay his course.
So, Representative, let me jump in here because some of our listeners probably don't know you that well or understand the position, because I was defending you when I was on the show on, what was it, Friday with Dan. Dan was wrong, Kristen was right.
Of course.
It happens all the time.
Yes.
But I think representing a university town put you in a unique position because universities have been squeezed more than any other part of the budget because they didn't have some sort of consent decree. And also, Dan talks about, politicians being a means to policy ends, but those policy ends often impact human beings. So can you tell us just about what it has been like? Dan is already smirking at me.
Well, I mean, in every direction they impact people's lives.
So you're Reggie Phillips. Your community is being decimated. Your university is starving. Your neighbors are being laid off. Tell us how that factored into your decision.
Well, I got 2 community colleges also, and they both have laid off folks. We had Eastern laid over 400 people off. And so under this particular president, he's been doing a fantastic job. He's been fiscally trying to be responsible and better with his funding and managing his money, and he's done a fantastic job when we've cut him by 60-some% of his income. We've got storefronts that are closed. We have houses that are upside down in my district, and it affects like 3 different counties because the economic engines of a university. So I've watched this for 2.5 years, and I realize that the university system has been, somewhat under the scrutiny of a lot of people's eye. We've been losing students for longer than the last few years, but nothing like the exodus we've had in the last 2.5 years, especially right now. We border Indiana State University at Terre Haute right here. I mean, we're 45 minutes away. And they've got a video out now boasting about how they're taking another 700 and some of our students just to that university from my district and close around my district. That just can't continue to happen. So
well, the question, but Reggie,
that's a big deal.
It is a big deal, but the question is, why is it happening? And is lack of state? Well, let me offer an alternative theory about why it's happening, because we've actually looked at the numbers at EIU. Because EIU, like so many institutions of higher learning in Illinois, the public ones are microcosms of Illinois government. Since 2006, Eastern Illinois University has seen their enrollment fall 40%, while state funding over the same period measured per student has risen 40%. EIU salaries in Coles County, where the median household income is $36,000, 13% of EIU employees make $100,000 or more. 30% make more than 70 grand, 45% make more than 50 grand before their benefits and taxpayer-funded pensions. Meanwhile, the in-state tuition has increased in real dollars 400% in the last 35 years. It's $11,730 in state for EIU, where Indiana State, since you mentioned it, charges $8,746 in state for students. So maybe it's actually state subsidizing empire building at Eastern Illinois and other places, and salaries that are just not proportional, while student enrollment is falling, and there are better options across the border, both in-state tuition and in some cases, because in-state tuition is so high in Illinois, even out-of-state tuition for Illinois residents is a better deal than in-state tuition for their Illinois conference peers. Maybe that's part of the story that isn't being told.
You know, I'm not going to be able to argue against that. You know, it's been part of my agenda, too, working with the current administration. You know, those are the very talks we've had. However, it's disingenuous to say that, you know, per person, per student, as the enrollment has dropped, you know, it costs go up because, you know, if I were to open up a business, whatever business I'm going to open up in the first year, the second year, the third year, whatever it takes, and there's fluctuations in it, I still can't get rid of my custodian. I can't get rid of the cook. I can't get rid of. So there's certain expenses that you're going to have. So, you know, you'd have to weigh that in there. But I can't argue against it. I said, and I told you, I believe the mismanagement over the last, from 2006 up until when Dr. Glassman took over, has been unequivocally wrong. And, you know, speaking against it. Now, with Dr. Glassman, though, he's reduced costs like $40 million, and there's other things that he's reducing to bring them more fiscally responsible with their money. Now, you and I aren't going to be able to sit here and talk about, you know, the cost of teachers or the cost of professors, and, you know, that's the collective bargaining issue of that, and that's beyond my pay grade as a state representative. Those things have been indoctrinated in Illinois now for years. And so, you know, what are we going to do against that? You know, I haven't got a clue as we move forward. It's something that, you know, we'll have to take one step at a time. But, you know, I understand exactly what you're saying and agree with what you're saying and trying to hold them responsible. And I'm with you on that part.
Do you regret the vote? I mean, are you hearing? I also believe in representatives representing your district, and this maybe was a case of that. Maybe your constituents wanted you to vote for this because it would end the impasse. Are you hearing from that side?
Yes, you know, obviously my district is very unique. I mean, it goes all the way down to Lawrenceville, Illinois. Lawrenceville has a couple of dentists. One of those dentists owed over $100,000. And she said, you know, if we can't get some funding, and I was continually calling the comptroller to try to get her funding because she was getting ready to close the doors, pack up, and move out. And that would have left Lawrenceville, which is a pretty good-sized town with maybe one dentist. So that's some of the issues you got, you know, where there's not as many doctors per person than we have as you do up in your area. So I hate to see them being owed so much money that they can't stay in business. So there's multiple issues. I have a couple of different towns that have been funding, you know, acting as the bank for the state of Illinois for, you know, water and sewer at the prison and some of the other things. So that's not their job to act as the bank. So my district was a little bit, you know, torn up with fiscally conservatives more south, like Crawfordville and Lawrenceville and Robinson there. So, and as you come up here, then you've got Eastern University, which is, you know, so it's two different parts of the catalyst. You got Republicans and you got Democrats, and you know, it was tough for me. I tell you, I didn't like it, but I mean, I am not going to watch Eastern University. I'm not going to watch Charleston, Illinois. These are my friends. Pack up, lose their businesses, lose their houses, you know, over this fiscal impasse.
Reggie, are you going to run again?
You know, I will make that announcement the end of August.
Okay. Reggie Phillips, state representative for the 110th District, Charleston area in Southern Illinois, representing Eastern Illinois University and a couple of community colleges, as he mentioned. Reggie, appreciate you joining us and making your case. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
It's absolutely amazing that the combination of these capsules improves your health. It does tell you the value of food and nutrition.
I actually can feel a difference. I really can.
I love the product. It's wonderful. I can't live without it. It's really helping me. Every time I take it, my body says, thank you.
This is the first winter that I went through that I didn't get a cold.
I love my fruits and veggies. I'm a line dancer, and I just turned 78, and it has made a big difference in my stamina and just my overall well-being, and I have so enjoyed them. I just love taking them and what they do for me.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.125%. APR 3.82%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $100, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, you should give Physicians Mutual Insurance Company a call. 1-800-300-8038. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away, so you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. That's right, any dentist you want. Call and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-300-8038. That's 1-800-300-8038. 1-800-300-8038.
Law, liberty, justice. This is Law and Justice with Jay Sekulow.
I have a rental unit above our garage, and we would like to qualify as much as possible the person that we have living so close to us in that unit. And I'd like to be able to know, can I ask if they are a Christian? Can I incorporate the 10 Commandments into the rental agreement? What can I do in that regard?
The Supreme Court of the various states have said is, look, under your sincerely held religious beliefs, you cannot be compelled to rent your property to someone who's living in an arrangement that you find morally offensive. And there's been good support there. Now, when it comes to denying someone the ability to rent commercial real estate based on their religion, the courts have gone pretty much the other way. Once you've entered commercial enterprises, the laws against discrimination apply, and they should.
Visit us at aclj.org. That's aclj.org.
I love my Catholic school. My teachers help me to succeed academically. In fact, students at the Catholic schools in the Joliet Diocese are ahead in every category academically by 20 to 30 points compared to national norms. And 92% of 7th graders meet or exceed growth expectations in reading, language, math, science, and social studies.
You just heard my daughter talk about why she loves her Catholic school. And as a parent, I may not be able to control what is happening in our culture, but I can control how my children are educated. I do that by sending them to a Catholic school school where they are formed in the image of Jesus Christ so that they have the moral foundation to make the right choices based on the teachings of the Catholic Church. If you want to provide your child with a moral compass to navigate our culture, consider sending him or her to a Catholic school.
Now you can join me at my school. Participating Catholic schools in the Joliet Diocese, in conjunction with the Catholic Education Foundation, are offering transfer grants of $1,500 to elementary school students and $3,000 to high school students who transfer from a public school. Restrictions apply. For more information, go to weteachmore.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Tribune editorial board. And coming up at 7:37, we'll talk Trump impeachment and Donald Trump Jr. prosecution for treason, along with Rahm's hubris, Tiny Dancer's hubris. That's a lot of ground to cover. We'll do it with Noah Rothman from Commentary at 7:37. But now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
72 degrees, rain showers, winds north at 9. In the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Congress gets back to work today following the 4th of July break. One of the most pressing items facing returning lawmakers is health insurance reform, and they only have about 3 weeks more to sort it out. President Trump's oldest son admits he did meet with a Russian lawyer last year, hoping to get information that would be damaging to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, this morning on Good Morning America.
The conversation quickly changed to what seemed to be the entire purpose of the meeting for that woman, which was Russian adoption. No information was received that was meaningful or helpful, and no action was taken. There was no follow-up whatsoever.
The New York Times reporting that Trump Jr. did acknowledge that meeting with the attorney in June of 2016. An investigation continues today from a police shooting in Ohio where sheriff's deputies say a Uniontown officer was shot 4 times last night while responding to a domestic dispute. A Fort Drum soldier is accused of killing a New York State trooper in Jefferson County. Police say last night in the town of Teresa, an active duty infantryman, Justin Walters, surrendered after a woman and a trooper, Joel Davis, were shot and killed. 3 Chicago police officers who are scheduled to be arraigned on charges that they conspired to cover up the actions of a white colleague who fatally shot a black teen 16 times. 3 have not been arrested. They are being allowed to show up today at that hearing on their own accord. An investigation underway after a man was shot and killed by police on Chicago's northwest side. Authorities say they were called to the home yesterday after the victim's parents reported their son was holding his girlfriend and her child against their will. The child and woman are safe. A man is dead following an ATV accident in Buffalo Grove. And Rolling Meadows police going to the dogs again. Daily Herald reporting the Suburban Department bringing back its police dog unit 4 years after it was disbanded. Pirates crushed the Cubs while the Rockies took out the White Sox 10-0. The news service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it? Dove Men Plus Care users say that it's like the Hoover Dam, but for their armpits. Well, if it can hold back that much sweat, it must be good. Pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant for yourself at your local retailer. 7:33, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The temperature this summer is on the rise, and everyone is talking about one person, President Donald Trump. As controversy swirls around his presidency and the Democrats and the mainstream media take aim, what will happen next? Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for the Summer of Trump, Tuesday, August 22nd at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, also featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
Home isn't just a place, it's the feeling of knowing you're safe. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Learn more at ADT.com.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My air conditioner broke down.
Sorry, but your home insurance doesn't cover air conditioner breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my air conditioner?
I'm afraid not.
But his air conditioner could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Be sure with the Shield. American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. That's 1-800-700-2119. 1-800-700-2119.
7:35. Let's get an update on the roads. The Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Kennedy, traffic is heavy all the way in from O'Hare. It's 1 hour from O'Hare to downtown, 25 minutes from Montrose, 21 on the Express. Outbound, 34 minutes to Montrose, an hour 10 to the airport. The Eden's 32 minutes, Lake Hook to the junction, outbound 36, the Eisenhower. An hour and 5 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, 41 minutes from Manheim, outbound an hour 10 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 38 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop Ford, 34. Tri-State southbound slow 132 to 176. Northbound 159th to Pulaski. Southwest Highway to 31st. And from the Reagan Tollway to the I, traffic service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, Napa Full Synthetic Motor Oil is on sale for just $4.29 a quart. It's quality motor oil at an affordable savings. You get Napa Full Synthetic. General States pricing, sales prices do not include applicable state local taxes or recycling fees. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Severe morning storms brought some heavy rain. We could see those same storms come back to life in the afternoon with heavy flooding rains and damaging winds. Will top out at 84. Currently 67 at O'Hare, 67 along the lakefront, 68 at Midway. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Continue next with our friend Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldstone Financial, helping you become financially independent at goldstonefinancialgroup.com.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board in for Amy this morning. And all the talk coming out of the G20 summit was sort of subsumed yesterday by the news that Donald Trump Jr., during the campaign, had a meeting with a Russian lawyer named Natalia Veselnitskaya. Thank you very much.
You practiced.
The meeting included Jared Kushner, as well as the campaign manager for Trump at the time, Paul Manafort. It took place at Trump Tower. The meeting in June of 2016 was said to be a conversation about the Magnitsky Act, which Vlad Putin is not a fan of, and it bars certain Russians from banking in the U.S. Ms. Veselnitskaya was representing, among her clients, a company called Prevazon Holdings, which had a civil asset forfeiture case against it before the U.S. Department of Justice. And also part of the discussion, apparently, was Putin retaliating against the U.S. for the Magnitsky Act by blocking U.S. adoptions of Russian children. Now, then the worm turned with Mark Corello, a spokesman for Trump's legal team, saying, "We learned both from our own investigation as well as public reports that the participants in the meeting misrepresented who they were and who they worked for. Specifically, we've learned that the person who sought the meeting is associated with Fusion GPS, a firm that was retained by Democrat operatives to develop opposition research on the president and which commissioned the phony Steele dossier." For his part, Donald Trump Jr. said in a statement about the meeting, "After pleasantries were exchanged, the woman stated she had information that individuals connected to Russia were funding the Democrat National Committee and supporting Mrs. Clinton. Her statements were vague, ambiguous, made no sense. No details of supporting information was provided or even offered. It quickly became clear that she had no meaningful information." This statement by Trump Jr. and the confirmation of the meeting is leading lawyers that are of the Never Trump variety or the left, like Larry Tribe from Harvard, Richard Painter, former Bush administration, G.W. Bush administration attorney, to use the T word in relation to Trump, treason for Trump Jr., and being taken as kind of a smoking gun because, of course, anything on Russia is the de facto smoking gun, according to Adam Schiff and the Democrats who want to sustain this narrative. Here's Reince Priebus, White House Chief of Staff, talking about this issue, addressing it with Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday yesterday, the meeting.
It was a very short meeting. It was a meeting apparently about Russian adoption. And after about 20 minutes, the meeting ended, and that was the end of it. And as far as non-disclosure, look, Jared Kushner put in his disclosure a little prematurely. He's since amended it. All of that is disclosed, and it was a nothing meeting. And now, what's developing from that meeting, if you look at the article that Circa put out, is that the individual that set up the meeting may have been affiliated with Fusion GPS, which is an opposition research firm that is being subpoenaed and talked to by the Senate Judiciary Committee about their role in putting together that phony dossier that people know about in regard to the president.
Now, Kristen, the other piece of the news on Russia this weekend was CNN was wrong again. This time, instead of being 100% wrong, they were 200% wrong. For the week leading up to the G20, they said that Trump was unlikely, their sources, anonymous sources, Trump unlikely to bring up the issue of election meddling. In fact, he brought it up twice. Reince Priebus described Trump's addressing the issue of election meddling with Putin.
Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov says that after Putin denied meddling in the election, he, Trump, this is his quote, said that he accepts these assertions and that President Trump said, this is Lavrov quoting Trump, certain circles in the U.S. are still exaggerating, although they cannot prove this, the topic of Russia's interference with the U.S. election. Reince, is that true? Did the president say what Lavrov says he said?
No, it's not true. The president absolutely did not believe the denial of President Putin. What the president did is he immediately came into the meeting, talked about Russian meddling in the U.S. election, went after that issue at least 2 separate times. This was not just a 5-minute piece of the conversation. This was an extensive portion of the meeting. And after going at it with President Putin more than once, 2 times, maybe even 3 times, the president, at that point, after spending a large part of the meeting on the subject, moved on to other topics.
Now, I want to be fair and give the left response. And rather than using the customary persons, the Adam Schiffs and the Nancy Pelosi's and the like, I think a better representation of the left and their substantive position was provided by this P-hat posse everywoman on Twitter over the weekend, a video that went viral. Listen to Jane Doe, Ashley Judd, Madonna acolyte, responding to the meeting between Trump and Putin, what really happened, what really was going on that no one reported.
And this is just a person. This is just a rank and file citizen who posted this, and now it's gone viral.
I mean,
right?
She's no different than Jim Acosta. Exactly.
Well, my Friday's ruined. It's absolutely ruined. I get up and I go and I turn on the news. First thing I see is Trump, not my president, Trump, shaking Vladimir Putin's hand. And I'm like, wow, you know, I mean, and then to top it off, Trump, not my president, taps Putin on the back. It was like a tap, you know, and I'm like, there is your collusion, people. Like, if you can't see that, seriously, if you can't see that,
you go, girl.
There's something wrong with you. There's something seriously wrong with you. I mean, I should be an investigative journalist because
not opening.
And then, like, Trump, not my president, was looking at Putin, and he started blinking. He was blinking at him. And then Putin looked back at Trump, and he was blinking at Trump. And they were, like, both standing there blinking at each other. And it was like, oh, my gosh. It's like Morse code. They're communicating. They're plotting for 220. And I felt so helpless, you know, like, I wish I could stop it. Just my Friday is just ruined. It's just, my whole weekend's ruined now.
Yeah.
Could somebody please get her some Ambien
immediately? Or distinguish her from Debbie Wasserman Schultz if you can. For more distillation of the subliminal communicating between Vlad Putin and Donald Trump at that meeting, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Noah Rothman, associate editor for Commentary Magazine. Noah, thanks for joining us. And if you're going to criticize Trump, please try and do it without the waterworks.
I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine, have a Xanax.
Yes.
Get through this.
Get a
It'll
quart.
be an emotionally taxing struggle.
Wrap yourself in an Afghan, get a quart of Haagen-Dazs, and then we can conduct the interview. Noah, so your take on, there's so much here, but why don't we start with Trump Jr. and whether this is the bombshell that it has been reported to be by the New York Times and CNN and the like?
I think it's a pretty big deal. This is the president's son admitting that he was pursuing information on Hillary Clinton's campaign that might have been damaging, provided to him by a third party who was linked to the Russian government. That individual, with none of this is denied by any party, that individual was operating as a third-party intermediary for the Russian government, dangling the possibility of releasing these holds on possible abortion or adoptions, rather, in the United States, the Russian couples, in exchange for the release of sanctions on the Russian government. That's a pretty clear chain of events, and Donald Trump's Jr.'s defense of himself is only that he was acting entirely independent of his president or the campaign.
So splice and dice for us a little bit, because, we're from Chicago, where dirty politics, op research, all kinds of things unfold in order to get dirt on your opponent. So is it the fact that this was connected, this is potentially someone connected to the Russian government? What is the most incriminating factoid that you just threw out there?
Well, this is probably the fourth or fifth member of the campaign or linked to the campaign who was in touch with Russian officials during the campaign, contradicting people like Reince Priebus and Vice President Mike Pence, who said there were absolutely no contacts between the campaign and the Russian government. That was not true fivefold. There were a lot of contacts between the campaign and the Russian government. Secondly, it's indicative of a political problem for this White House, not necessarily a legal problem, but a political problem, which is that this Russia thing has sapped the administration of authority, of legitimacy. It has overtaken the news cycle. It has prevented them from doing the things they want to do. It's a real distraction, to say nothing of the fact that it's a serious problem if you're concerned about the intervention by a foreign power in the American election. That's not good stuff, and we should expect the President of the United States to be treating an assault on American sovereignty like an assault on American sovereignty, and we should all be rallying around that, and the fact that it's partisanized means we can't do that. But this particular revelation now indicates that they did, at least Donald Trump Jr. did, possibly without any knowledge of the president, but we don't know that, wanted to utilize whatever help they could get, even if it was the help of a foreign power that is clearly a hostile foreign power.
Well, part of it is part. Yeah, but part of it is what do we know about what Donald Trump Jr. knew about this individual based on the after the fact vetting of this individual or whoever it was that set up the meeting and their possible connection to Fusion GPS, which is a Democrat firm that again commissioned that dossier, as I mentioned, from the Trump legal team spokesman's statement. Maybe it was a case of sloppiness and they didn't really even know who they were talking to in terms of the connects.
Yeah, it's totally possible. Look, it's very possible. And I want to say that right off the bat that this is not the quote-unquote smoking gun. But as I said earlier, this is the fifth such individual, I think. If you take Paul Manafort, Carter Page, Jeff Sessions, Donald Trump Jr., and I believe there was one other, these are all people who had campaign contacts with Russian officials, knowingly or unknowingly. And the contradicting the notion that that was said several times by people like the vice president that this never happened. This is a political problem for this White House. This White House has this cloud of suspicion hanging over it, which not only does it seem disinclined to dissipate, but I don't even think it could. It's just the sort of thing that's going to hang there. and sap the public of their belief that this is an administration that can operate independently and in the name of American interests with regard to Russia.
Well, meanwhile, there were some substantive achievements that the president forged at the G20, including a Syrian ceasefire that, of course, are being overshadowed by some of his tweeting as well as this Donald Jr. story.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I'm suspicious of its ability to be effective. Look, we need a Potsdam conference for Syria yesterday. The quote-unquote ISIS caliphate is collapsing. The de facto capital of Raqqa is about to fall apart, and these interests are going to dissipate. Now, the terrorist threat will never go away, but what's bigger and more important and more pressing is the great power conflicts that are going on in this theater, where you have American troops, British troops, French troops, Turkish troops, Russian troops, etc., Iranian troops, all shooting at each other's proxies. We engaged the Syrian government again last month, shot down a plane, to which the Russian government responded, "Well, you're not going to allow any other NATO assets west of the Euphrates River." That's essentially bifurcating the country. We're drawing a line down the middle. So we really do have to cooperate on this thing. When it comes to this ceasefire, this quote-unquote no-fly zone, I have a suspicion that that's going to last a week, maybe two at most, once we get this thing up and running, because we're shooting at each other's proxies. We have completely different interests on the ground. And once those two interests conflict, which they really often do, that sort of cooperation becomes untenable.
If we could pivot, I want to talk about a column you wrote last week, I believe, where you took up our fine mayor, Rahm Emanuel, the headline, Rahm Emanuel's galling hubris. And it's a great stem winder about transportation in New York. And we're familiar here with his op-ed in the New York Times, and then he was clobbered, basically, by New York press for bragging about our transportation system when we do have a few other problems, like, 1,700 shootings so far this year. What was sort of your take on whether or not do you think he was really that naive to post that, to submit that, and not expect backlash?
I don't know. That was really galling. Far be it for me to defend New York's Andrew Cuomo and New York City's Bill de Blasio. They deserve all the criticism in the world and more.
Excuse me, New York City / Hamburg, Germany.
Right,
Bill de Blasio.
Yes. Professional protester, Mayor de Blasio. Yeah, they deserve all the criticism they get, including on the subway situation. Subways in New York City have been deteriorating rapidly, and they deserve criticism for that. But it's pretty ironic that you have a mayor in particular who wanted to jump in on that, who's facing allegations of corruption and violence and the kind of, let them eat cake, dissociation from the problems of his city, like Rahm Emanuel, and then to say, well, at least the trains run on time. I mean, the guy doesn't understand metaphors. This is really, really repulsive behavior from somebody who can be completely savaged for how he's running his city, and then to take the time out to be intentionally provocative and troll New York City is just repulsive. He really does deserve to be raked over the coals for it.
He has been, but he claims that headline was not his, regardless. I had a conversation with somebody who thought
that's not how. Yeah, the New York Times chose that headline on purpose to probably undermine his case.
Right.
It's good for them.
But it's either just another sign of his tone deafness, which we happen to see a lot in the city, I think. Or one of my colleagues was suggesting that, the media here, we're not writing about the trains, okay? We're writing about the violence. And this was the only way for him to maybe get a little bit of a pat on the back to get his voice out there. And so he was willing to take that calculus of getting this printed in order to get clobbered. But, I mean, honestly, I think, was it the Daily News that came back with a headline, at least our commuters don't get shot on the train?
Yeah, that's
something along those lines,
Also that the Laquan McDonald saga, for which the city settled. I mean, that was a serious situation from 2014, 2015, when the city settled after the mayor was reelected, and now we have a alleged conspiracy. I mean, this is real confidence-sapping scandal. And if Bill de Blasio was engaged in something like that, I can't imagine he'd be, writing trolling op-eds to Chicago talking about how the police force at least functions. I mean, he's It would just be scandalously untoward behavior, to say nothing of, tone deaf.
He is Noah Rothman, associate editor for Commentary Magazine, where you can check out his op-eds on both the G20 over the weekend as well as Tiny Dancer. Noah, thanks for joining us. As always, appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And just sticking on Tiny Dancer for a moment, there's this excellent piece in Washington Examiner last week because, on the climate change thing, which is another big topic at the summit. By the way, great Peter Ferrara piece in Forbes over the weekend about how we could be entering a period of global cooling. But anyway, Emmanuel's office, playing press release politics on climate change, he's going to host a climate summit in conjunction with the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy to bring mayors to Chicago to talk about these phony baloney issues. Because Tiny Dancer plays press release politics, doesn't matter the substance, doesn't matter the outcomes because they work. And they work for Daley, too. And Tim Benson, the Washington Examiner, notes that Chicago already made one futile and stupid emissions pledge under Richard M. Daley, the previous mayor, saying the city would reduce its emissions 25% below 1990 levels by 2020. That pledge has gone so smoothly that Chicago is on pace to be 62% above that emissions target by 2020. So now Emmanuel's targets for this global summit, climate summit he's going to host in Chicago, are actually weaker than the ones Daley had pledged in at the end of his term, below 1990 levels by 2020. But the meeting emissions targets is not the point. The point is to pretend you're going to meet a target, bask in the accolades, and then ignore the pledge entirely. In other words, virtue signaling, or as I call it, press release politics. That's what Tiny Dancer plays, just as Mayor Daley played it, just as all Chicago Democrats played it, including the one we scaled to the White House pre-Trump. And why do they do it? Because it works, at least
and it's a
at
huge
least here.
distraction. We're talking about emissions when we should be talking about violence and the exodus of residents and the borrowing and the debt that this city is crumbling under, and the Chicago Public Schools about to go bankrupt. I mean, it's just it's insanity.
Because people pay attention to that. You can see the outcomes when their targets are missed. This is just a press release that everybody quickly forgets about.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, and your dental health. Dennis Prager here. You hear a lot of people screaming at you about dental implants, get it done in a day, or we can treat everybody, or hundreds of thousands of implants. Well, successful implants don't come from an implant factory. What you don't hear talked about is skill, treatment, and installation. These are what make for successful lifelong implants, and that's why you need to see Dr. Neruzzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Neruzzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants. You need the experience, skill, and honesty that 24 years of dental implants bring. Everyone is different. Don't settle for mass-produced implants. Did you know that there is a difference in quality of the actual implant itself? Some are made to last, and some aren't. Is your doctor being honest with you?
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics 630-632-7400, or just remember implantsforme.com.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show each morning. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series. This week we'll be featuring National Review's Charlie Cook, podcast of our Illinois Rising program covering state policy and politics. New series, Heart of the Matter, which is professional women speaking colleague to colleague about the salient issues of the day, as well as My 60 Seconds of Sanity this week on Trump and how he speaks to his audience and doesn't forget who his audience is, as well as 2-minute warnings and dollars and cents. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
Here are the stories we're following this morning on AM 560. The Answer. 3 Chicago police officers face arraignment in the Laquan McDonald case. A 17-year-old girl killed in a displaced shooting. Man stabbed to death at the 95th Street Red Line station. Pirates beat the Cubs. Rockies crush the White Sox, and thunderstorms in your forecast today. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
The president's son now caught up in the Russia story. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A Donald Trump Jr. meeting with a Russian lawyer is getting a lot of attention. It happened last June 2016 with Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. The New York Times reported that attorney claimed to have dirt about Hillary Clinton. Trump Jr. put out a statement. The info ended up being meaningless, and his father was not aware of the meeting. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, says there's still no proof of collusion.
People think they want to convert wishful thinking into hard evidence.
President Trump's been busy tweeting this morning. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
The president taking to Twitter, writing James Comey leaked classified information to the media that is so illegal. The tweet came after a report in the Hill newspaper claimed that more than half of the memos the former FBI director wrote as personal recollections of his conversation with President Trump have been determined to contain classified information. The president also defending his daughter, who sat in for him at a G20 meeting, writing, if Chelsea Clinton were asked to hold the seat for her mother, as her mother gave our country away, the fake news would say Chelsea for president. Dave?
John, Congress returns from break today with Republican senators still not united on a health care plan.
We just want to make sure that we don't do what Obamacare did. Keep power in Washington. We want to give it back to the states.
GOP Senator Bill Cassidy pushing his alternative on Fox and Friends a short time ago. At least 10 Republicans opposed the original plan. Some conservatives don't think it goes far enough getting rid of Obamacare. He was arraigned in his shorts at 4 o'clock this morning. A U.S. soldier charged with murder then jailed without bail, hours after police say he killed his wife and shot to death a New York State trooper responding to a domestic dispute at his home in Theresa. A police officer was also shot last night responding to a domestic dispute in Ohio.
That officer is in the intensive care unit, but he is stable. The Uniontown police chief putting out a message on their Facebook page asking for prayers for
Stacey Fry with Fox 8 TV in Uniontown says cops returned fire and killed the gunman. Fox News, fair and balanced.
67 degrees. We've had light rain showers and thunderstorms across the area this morning. Heavier rains near the Wisconsin-Illinois border. Up to 2 inches has fallen in spots. Winds north at 10. In our Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage Warranty. 3 Chicago police officers are scheduled to be arraigned on charges that they conspired to cover up the actions of a white colleague fatally shot a black teen 16 times. The 3 have not been arrested. They're being allowed to show up today at the hearing of their own accord. The indictment alleges the officers lied when they said 17-year-old Laquan McDonald aggressively swung a knife and tried to get up while still armed after he was shot by Officer Jason Van Dyke in October of 2014. 3 are in stable condition following a shooting at Chicago's Rainbow Beach Park. The victims include a 15-year-old boy. They were shot last night in the 3100 block of East 77th. All remain at South Shore Hospital. Chicago police are searching for a person who stabbed a man to death at the 95th Street Red Line station on the south side. And overnight, family and friends mourn the shooting death of a 17-year-old girl in suburban Des Plaines. The vigil held last night in Glenview to remember Angelique Morris, who was shot in the head on Saturday in the 9900 block of Linda Lane. Pirates beat the Cubs 14-3 in the rubber match of a 3-game set at Wrigley. Kyle Freeland took a no-hitter into the ninth as the Rockies beat the White Sox 10-0. The news, a service of Lowe's. Freshen up your bath with great savings from Lowe's. Now get up to 50% off select bath vanities. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid 7/5 through 7/17. Selection varies by store while supplies last. U.S. only. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network, a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Ginny Casola.
from the Fox Business Network. There's takeover news in the country club business. Private equity firm Apollo Global Management is buying Club Corp, which owns more than 200 golf and country clubs. Amazon's Prime Day will feature half-price discounts on Echo devices. Tech website The Verge says Amazon is cutting the price of the Echo to $89.99 for its annual sale, Amazon Prime Day, starting tonight, and will sell the smaller Echo Dot for $34.99. The burger chain Shake Shack is stepping up its mobile ordering app. Starting today, it will be available for Android. The Wall Street Journal says the Shack app for the iPhone has increased foot traffic and average order sizes. Over the past 4 months, the iPhone version of the app has been downloaded more than 200,000 times. The Dow was up 94 points on Friday. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal. From fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vans Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Call 219-931-4881 for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Think you can't manage the down payment it takes to purchase a new home? Think again. You could move into a $150,000 home with as little as $1,500 down with our 1% down payment option. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.12%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, we help keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance. So you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling for less than $1 a day. ADT. Home. Safe home.
8:07. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Flight boards at O'Hare show a number of delays this morning, and Midway has several cancellations. Inbound Edens is 32 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 36. Kennedy, an hour and 19 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 47 minutes from Montrose, 24 in the Express. Outbound an hour to the airport. The Eisenhower runs an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 42 minutes from Manheim. Outbound, 56 minutes to Manheim, an hour 10 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound now an hour. Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive southbound jammed. Hollywood to North Avenue and slow 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound 18th to Jackson. Southbound Tri-State. Heavy Washington to 176 and Dixie Highway to Chicago Road after a crash. Northbound from I-57 to Pulaski. Southwest Highway to 31st. And from the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower. Adams tollway stop and go lead to the Tri-State. The other tollways are very heavy as well. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Periods of rain, some heavy with a thunderstorm early, then a severe thunderstorm late in the afternoon, which could bring flash flooding and damaging winds. Otherwise, it will be breezy with clouds breaking forth. Some sun, high 84. Strong evening thunderstorm tonight, low 67. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 67 light rain showers. Next news update at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy, with Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Health Quest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board in for Amy this morning. We're going to talk to former ambassador of the UN, John Bolton, in just a minute about the G20, but we have some breaking news that you're hearing exclusively on Chicago's Morning Answer. I can guarantee you we're first to have this story, and that is that Governor Rauner has just replaced his chief of staff. Rich Goldberg has been fired, and he has replaced Goldberg with Christina Rasmussen, who's the president of the Illinois Policy Institute, of which I'm affiliated as well, the Illinois Policy Institute, economic liberty-oriented public policy think tank. Now, I've been very critical of Rauner and his communication and his absence of leadership. To me, this, and Kristen, gets you to weigh in on this as you follow this closely, to me, this is a substantial move by the governor, and I think it signals how he thought the last 2.5 years have gone in terms of where he's positioned for re-election, how he thought this last session went in terms of the tax increase that was ramrodded over his veto, and perhaps a pivot that he is going to make with Christina Rasmussen, who's a friend, but is very bright, very policy-oriented, very principled when it comes to advancing the economic liberty policy agenda.
Well, wow. So... this is a push out of a lot of the people he surrounded himself with who were from Mark Kirk's office, correct?
Right.
And so I guess
at least one.
My initial reaction, though, is what this is. This is going to be framed as him moving further to the right, Rauner moving further to the right and to the Illinois Policy Institute, which put out a budget, among other many, many policy positions that didn't require a tax increase. I know Christina to be, like you said, very policy oriented. She knows Springfield. Rich Goldberg he's very confrontational, and I don't think that worked very well in that environment, and maybe she will be more respected. How much does this signal a change in what we will see from him, though? Is this much of a shakeup that we will notice? I
think we will, and I think part of it will be that you'll see Rauner a Rauner, I suspect, because why would he bring Christina Rasmussen on if he's not going to do this? You see Rauner pivot as well. He's pivoting with his senior person, his chief of staff, that has to signal maybe that he's going back to the candidate Rauner, who was going to run against the political establishment did run against the political establishment of both parties, and now he's got to do so again with 15 Republicans, 16 if you include the Senate, surrendering to the Democrats to pass this tax hike over his veto. Maybe he's going back to the guy who's on the side of the 95% of people outside the political system in this state and taking on the 5% who run everything for their benefit and everybody else's expense. And if he's doing that, both from a policy perspective, a communication perspective, / political perspective, with a year and a half to re-election, then that's good news. So it should be exciting. And I think Christina, too, as a professional in this space, this is not going to be Rauner implementing the Illinois Policy Institute's white papers. This is Christina going over there to implement Rauner's vision as articulated in the campaign, but has not been consummated in public policy successes. But we'll talk more about this at the bottom of the hour and get your calls, because this is a substantial personnel move. Even though this is inside baseball, it has real implications for the next year and a half of Rauner's gubernatorial term and whether or not there'll be a second one. But switching back to the G20 and matters geopolitical, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend, Ambassador John Bolton, former ambassador, U.S. ambassador to the UN. Ambassador Bolton, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, good morning. Glad to be with you.
And so why don't we start with, before we get even to the G20, the news over the weekend that ISIS has been pushed out of Mosul, the celebration from the Iraqi government as to this success. What does that portend for the future of Iraq and for the future of ISIS in the region?
Well, they've been pushed out of most of Mosul. I mean, this is the longest-running attack on a city, and I think in the past 15 years in the conflict in the Middle East. They're still not completely gone. They will be, but it's more propaganda from the Iraqi regime about their so-called successes. It's sort of like the fall of Raqqa, the headquarters of ISIS in Syria. That's already been announced a couple of times too. Now, as I say, eventually it will happen, but you have to take all of this with a grain of salt. What it means in terms of Mosul specifically is that at some point the Baghdad government will get back territorial control over most of Iraq. That is not a good thing for the United States because the Baghdad government is essentially in thrall to the Ayatollahs in Tehran. This is the demonstration of what was wrong with the Obama strategy from the get-go. Because to defeat ISIS in Iraq, although the Kurds were a major element of that, Obama placed the heaviest reliance on the Baghdad government's troops and Shia militia that accompanied them. So really, we're just now going to set up the next battle in the region between the Iranian coalition, which includes obviously Iran, the Baghdad government, the Assad regime in Syria, the Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon, all backed by Russia. Which is going to be on the wrong side of that conflict, and with which we have just announced a southwestern Syria ceasefire, a complete victory for Russia.
You had a similar take on the Syrian policy, the ceasefire, that really this is nothing to celebrate, that this is kind of an extension of the Obama administration's policies. And you also raised a point that I think Charles Krauthammer has as well, that Putin's a liar, and he'll lie to you with a smile. And we should be very disconcerted about that. Could you talk a little bit about those two issues?
Sure, and I thought the characteristics that Putin displayed in the one-on-one meeting with Trump in Hamburg, Germany on Friday really proved the point. Contrary to what some on the American left thought would happen, Trump went in, raised the issue of Russian interference in the American elections, came back to it repeatedly, according to Secretary of State Tillerson. They had a robust and lengthy discussion. The New York Times reported that as much as 40 minutes of the 2-hour-plus meeting was on the election issue. So at least Trump raised it vigorously. That was important. And what happened was Putin, to his face, flat out denied the Russian government was involved, which is completely contrary to substantial intelligence that the U.S. government has, and every member of Congress who's seen it on the Hill has come away with the conclusion that obviously Russia was very much involved in trying to affect the election. So it's not surprising that Putin lied. He's said previously the Russian government had nothing to do with it, but what's significant about this is that the President of the United States looked Putin in the eye and said, "You're interfering in our election. Stop it." And Putin looked right back at him and said, "No, I'm not." Now, to me, interference in America's elections is an existential threat to this country. We are a country founded on an idea of free people living together, choosing their own government. And interfering in that process, interfering in the Constitution, is worse philosophically and in the real world than attacking our ships or our planes or our bases. It's attacking what America is. And Putin just flat out lied about it. So, I think we need to do a lot of things to respond to the Russian hacking. We shouldn't take it lying down. But what it tells you about the character of the Russian government, today's Russian government, is incredibly important. Because if they're willing to lie about interfering in our election, they'll lie about anything. And they are. About Syria, about Iran's nuclear weapons program, about North Korea's nuclear weapons program, about what they're doing in Ukraine and Eastern and Central Europe. So, we can negotiate with the Russians, but we need to do it with our eyes wide open.
So do you look at the dust-up now with Donald Trump Jr., and as you're describing such a calculating regime, do you think that was a setup, and what do you think the implications of that will be?
I don't think we know at this point nearly what we need to know. I find it very hard to believe that Russia would send out some random lawyer in the middle of the campaign if their effort is as calibrated as people say it is. I think the campaign's response to a probe like that should have been, see my lawyer, and it should have been vetted that way. But if this is the best evidence they've got of Trump campaign collusion with Russia, we're well past time to call this whole thing off. If there were evidence of collusion, it would be extraordinarily serious.
Then how do you?
So far, there isn't any, and
right.
I don't think this amounts to it.
When how did you react when you heard Rex Tillerson's statements on the topic of the ceasefire and Russia working with Russia to institute that ceasefire, which you're suspicious of as you make your case? Tillerson essentially saying, we want the same things, meaning the U.S. and Russia, and so we're just kind of trying to work out a way to get to what we share in common, that we have more in common than that's what separates us. That seemed to me a bit of an odd statement to make with the autocratic regime you've just been describing.
Well, the worst part about it was that it sounded exactly like the Obama administration.
Yeah, right.
I'm focusing on Syria now. John Kerry and Barack Obama said for 4 years, we're working with the Russians. We all have the same long-term objective. We want to see Assad moved peacefully out of power, transition to a new regime. That was never the Russian objective. They played us on that. It's going on now 6 years since the beginning of the civil war in Syria. The Russians are not going to accept Assad being removed unless they get another stooge in power who will do what they want. They've got an important naval base at Tartus. They've established under Barack Obama a significant air base at Latakia. They've intruded into the Middle East in a way they haven't for nearly 50 years. These are unpleasant physical realities that Trump, it's the hand Trump was dealt. The trouble with this ceasefire agreement is that it legitimizes, it acquiesces in the Russian military presence. And besides that, it has every indication that gives Assad relief on this front in southwest Syria so that he can increase his efforts somewhere else. I mean, we'll see how long this lasts. The history of ceasefires in this Syrian conflict is pretty short, but I think by and large it was a victory for the Russians, nothing to be encouraged about.
As somebody who was a professional diplomat, a former U.S. ambassador to the UN, I'm just interested in your answer to this question, because a lot of the reporting on the G20 was the G19 plus one, Trump not with the rest of the world leaders when it comes to the Paris Accord, not with them on certainly immigration policy, to some extent trade policy. And so the go it alone, even though he's made speeches both in Saudi Arabia and Poland that say something quite different about his America First policy, America First approach. But the Pew Research came out with some new numbers on the confidence the rest of the world has in the U.S. president, the confidence the rest of the world has in American leadership. And they're down, both numbers are down substantially from where they were at the end of the Obama administration. Should we wear those bad numbers as badges of honor that suggests that America is leading if the rest of the world that we don't want to emulate isn't happy with us? Or is that a concern, our kind of public standing, the confidence the rest of the world has in America?
Yeah, well, I never pay any attention to these numbers. If you think people in the rest of the world are, every morning they get up, they read 7 or 8 newspapers, they think about the issues deeply, how are things going, how does the United States look, and then they come to a considered judgment after hours of considering the question.
Oh, come on.
It doesn't happen that way. So let them think whatever they want. The job of the American president is to defend American interest. And, sometimes that means taking an approach very different from your predecessor. And that's what Trump has done, certainly on pulling out of the Paris Accords. But it's the right thing to do from America's perspective. And if you're not a leader if you're following the other people. See how that goes?
Yeah,
the leader actually steps out in front. In the George W. Bush administration, I've written my proudest day as a public servant was the day I unsigned the United States from the Rome Statute creating the International Criminal Court, which now has over 140 or 50 other members. And we pulled out of that. We had never ratified it, but we were even removed our signature from the treaty. That's real leadership.
All right. He is Ambassador John Bolton. Ambassador Bolton, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Glad to do it. Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Russians must be laughing their asses off.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best pillow available. You deserve a restful and relaxing summer. And the July radio deal using my name, Amy, in the promo code is the best deal available. It's the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, including 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for half the price. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic. And you get a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I've been on vitamins. I've been on all kinds of supplements, but nothing has come close to your product. The difference between before I started the product and afterwards is like night and day. I do have more energy, and that was what I really was after. I get all these benefits. It's wonderful. I had no energy at all, and I thought, how can I live this way? I do one little chore, and then I have to sit and rest. And I find that I get through the day pretty well, and I really have more energy. I look in the mirror and I say, I think I feel more alive. I think I look more alive.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
It takes a lot of courage to face your own death, but I'm glad I finally did. See, I was putting off getting life insurance to protect my family, even though I knew it was important. Then my neighbor's husband died. I watched her struggle emotionally and financially. It really made me face reality. If my husband died, how would I pay the mortgage, the car payments, or keep up the life the kids and I had? I realized I needed to get us life insurance right away. So I called AIG Direct. In less than 5 minutes, I had a quote. I was shocked at how affordable it is. Just $14 a month for $250,000 of term life coverage. I feel so much better knowing my family has protection.
Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-900-1904. That's 1-800-900-1904. 1-800-900-1904.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. If you're purchasing a home within the next year, this is very important. Your credit score is the most important factor in determining your interest rate and monthly payments. I strongly advise listeners purchasing a home to contact me as far in advance as possible so I can pre-qualify you for free. I will analyze your credit and make recommendations to improve your credit scores so you can secure the lowest rate when purchasing a home. Paying banks and other lenders a fee to get pre-qualified is ridiculous. If you're purchasing a home, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com and get pre-qualified for free. I've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358, and MLS 19186.
So what would you do with an extra $500 a month in your budget? $500. This isn't hypothetical, by the way. This is something you may need to think about very soon if you decide to become a member of Medi-Share. Medi-Share is a way to pay for your health care, and typically it costs $500 less per month for a family versus other health care plans. So seriously, think about this. You could pay off loans, pay down a mortgage, save the money for retirement, donate to charity. That would be a big deal. But you know what? Here's the best thing. Medi-Share works. It has 250,000 members, and it's growing fast. With Medi-Share, not only do you save, you don't have to pay for things you don't believe in either, and that is a beautiful thing too. So here's how you can find out more, and you might actually wind up saving even more than $500 a month. So check into it. Here's the number. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. Now available in Montana. Call 844-41-BIBLE.
Message and data rates may apply.
Does forgetting your password make your blood boil? If technology is supposed to make life easier, then why is it so difficult to log into apps and websites? We're about to simplify your life now by giving you free access to Dashlane, the award-winning app that remembers and protects all of your passwords, making it easy to securely access all of your accounts. Get Dashlane free for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. Dashlane makes life online blissfully simple, safe, and secure. Trusted by over 7 million users and 6,000 companies. Top-rated in functionality, security, and ease of use. Honored with over 70,000 five-star ratings. Dashlane, where passwords are never lost, never forgotten, and always secure. Unlock free access to Dashlane for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. After texting, please enjoy a sigh of relief. That's PASS to 543-543.
My legs were awful.
I always felt uncomfortable and self-conscious.
I had never been real happy about the spider veins in my ankles and my legs.
I started noticing fatigue in my leg.
I was so self-conscious. Then I went to Vein Clinics of America.
It's time to love your legs again. Vein Clinics of America is the oldest, largest, most experienced vein treatment center in the U.S. Using state-of-the-art laser and minimally invasive treatments, they can begin restoring the natural beauty of your legs in as little as 1 hour with no downtime, and most treatments are covered by insurance.
I found the Vein Clinics of America, and look at my legs now.
You just feel like, you know what, I want to do so much today. It's such a big difference.
My experience with Vein Clinics of America was amazing.
Make sure your legs look and feel their best for summer. Call now to schedule a free fast-track consultation to find out how you can finally get rid of those embarrassing varicose and spider veins. Call 800-402-0707. 800-402-0707. That's 800-402-0707.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Krista McQuarrie from the Tribune in for Amy this morning. We've had an eventful morning when it comes to Illinois politics. We had Reggie Phillips, one of the 15 Republicans in the House who voted for the tax increase, on to defend his vote in the 7 o'clock hour. And then we had breaking news exclusively reported on Chicago's Morning Answer that Governor Rauner has replaced his chief of staff, which is inside baseball, but it has great implications that we'll discuss at 8:38 after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
68 and light rain showers in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Congress gets back to work following a 4th of July break. The most pressing issue facing returning lawmakers is health insurance reform, and they only have 3 weeks to sort it out. President Trump's oldest son admits now he met with a Russian lawyer last year hoping to get information that could be damaging to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, was on Good Morning America just moments ago arguing the meeting does not mean there was any collusion at all.
The conversation quickly changed to what seemed to be the entire purpose of the meeting for that woman, which was Russian adoption. No information was received that was meaningful or helpful, and no action was taken. There was no follow-up whatsoever.
The New York Times reporting that Trump Jr. acknowledged the meeting with the attorney in June of 2016. A soldier out of Fort Drum, New York, is accused of killing a state trooper in the town of Teresa near the Canadian border. Police say the active duty infantryman, Justin Walters, surrendered after a woman and a trooper, Joel Davis, were shot and killed. Republican Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska has a new job this morning. Uber driver. Will be making good on a sports bet by sitting behind the wheel as a driver for the ride-hailing service tonight. Senator Sasse had bet that the Nebraska Cornhuskers, his Cornhuskers, would defeat the Iowa Hawkeyes when they met at Kinnick Stadium. He lost. And according to terms of that wager, he'll now serve as an Uber driver on the winning team's campus for the night. 3 are in stable condition following a shooting at Chicago's Rainbow Beach Park. Chicago police tell us the victims all remain at South Shore Hospital. 3 Chicago police officers are scheduled to be arraigned on charges. They conspired to cover up the actions of a white colleague who fatally shot a black teen 16 times. Family and friends are in mourning following the shooting death of a 17-year-old girl over the weekend in suburban Des Plaines. A vigil held last night in Glenview to remember Angelique Morris, who was shot in the head in the 9900 block of Linda Lane. The teen was a senior at Glenbrook South High School. Chicago sports, Pirates beat the Cubs 14-3. Rockies over the White Sox 10-0. The news, a service of LifeLock. It's morning, and here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com to use promo code RISK to save 10%. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
Townstone Financial is synonymous with great rates, low closing costs, and phenomenal service to the thousands who have completed purchases and refinances with us since 2002. Hi, my name is Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My name is Elisa French. I'm a Chicago ad executive. I have completed 3 no-cost refinances with Townstone Financial and with Barry Sterner over the past 15 years. I've always received outstanding interest rates. I think the best interest rates that are out there. My husband and I have never paid closing costs. They've always made the process really simple, really easy. So if you really are looking for somebody you can trust, call Barry.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal housing lender.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy has heavy delays from O'Hare all the way in. It is an hour and 19 minutes from the airport to downtown, 47 minutes from Montrose, 24 in the Express. Outbound 52 minutes to O'Hare. Edens is 32 minutes from Lake Cook to the Kennedy, outbound 39. Inbound Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 42 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 50 minutes to Manheim. It is an hour and a half to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound an hour and 2 minutes. Ryan is 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbounds, the Washington to Eau Plaine and Toohey to the Bensonville Bridge. Also heavy Dixie Highway to Chicago Road after a crash. Northbound jam, Cicero to 31st, and it's heavy approaching 290. Adams Tollway stop and go lead to the Tri-State Veterans Memorial from I-55 to Maple after a collision, then from St. Charles to 290. Northwest Indiana looks good. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Strong storms have blown through this morning, leaving behind flooding and some damaging winds. Some trees toppled in the northern suburbs. Later today, those storms could fire up again with a high near 84. Currently 68. Next news at 9. Breaking news as it happens. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy, with our friend Kristen McCreary in for Amy this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And as Mike Scott said, Kristen McQuarrie, our friend from the Chicago Tribune editorial board, in for Amy this morning. And Kristen, we reported this breaking news at the top of the hour. Christina Rasmussen, who had served as president of Illinois Policy Institute, based in Springfield, free market think tank to which I'm affiliated, as I think most people listen to the show know by now. Our Illinois Rising program, done in conjunction with Illinois Policy Institute on Sundays on these airwaves, Sundays at 3 p.m. And I'm a senior fellow there, so I know Christina well. I know the organization well. But she has been tapped to replace Rich Goldberg as Governor Rauner's chief of staff. And this isn't just like a humdrum personnel move. You have to look at this in context, both in terms of where the governor is a year and a half prior to his reelection, as well as 2.5 years into his term, and what just happened in the special session with the surrender Republicans, the 15 who need to be fired, collaborating with Chicago Democrats to ram through a tax hike. You have to look at it in that context to say this is clearly the governor evaluating where he stands 2.5 years in and believing he needs to make a change at the highest level of his administration. And I think he's right, and I think it's long overdue.
Well, it sort of speaks to what the criticism has been about Governor Rauner from the beginning, is moving the goalposts, being unfocused. He brought in a bunch of people who knew Washington, D.C. pretty well, but didn't know Springfield very well. And although Mike Z and Rich Goldberg were considered really tough people, sometimes Rich came off as maybe the governor wasn't able to get enough of his agenda through the General Assembly, in part because Goldberg was seen as a little too antagonistic with Democratic lawmakers, and they don't really take to that too well, including Republicans. Now, I know you probably have a different view. I know, but I view Christina as being much more. I don't want to say cooperative. I just think maybe more respectful of the process, knowledgeable of the process. And in terms of, if you look at what she's done just with the Illinois Policy Institute, regardless of what you think of the Policy Institute, until they started growing and putting pressure on different policy issues in Springfield, there was really no entity down there pushing that agenda or refuting what the left was always doing, or taking unions to task, or looking more critically at the state budget and all of these issues. They have become a force du jour under her leadership. So I think that probably speaks to why she is also a good choice. I mean, the liberals will go nuts because the Illinois Policy Institute is seen as a real flashpoint down there. And this will be interpreted that he is now going to listen even more to his base and anti-union rhetoric and all of that. That's what the push will be.
Right.
But I just see this as more of a policy-driven, disciplined person who will be in his ear every day, rather than some of these people who perhaps did not know Springfield as well as they should have.
Well, I think in terms of Christina personally, what you're describing is correct. I mean, she is very tough, she has grit, but she's also very charming. And so that's a good combination to have as you work with people, including those you obviously disagree with. She's going to be engaged with the chief of staff for Mike Madigan, for John Cullerton, with Democrat legislators, including Republicans, including some of the Republicans who voted against the governor, and that certainly was against the position that the Illinois Policy Institute had and Christina had, as well as that the governor had, obviously. They overrode his veto. So, very policy-oriented, very smart, very principled, very tough, but also charming. So I think she brings a lot to the table to the benefit of the governor. So that's on Rasmussen. And I think one of the things that the governor has been beset with is, in addition to kind of the personality conflicts, is just him, when he is public at all, he is publicly negotiating with himself for 2.5 years. There was a good piece, actually, by Ted Dabrowski at the Illinois Policy Institute, going back to candidate Rauner's 44-point Illinois turnaround plan. And as we were on the eve of the special session, the count was 0 for 44 on that turnaround plan. And so he's picked and choosed and refashioned it and represented it a couple of different times. There's been nothing cogent or consistent. And there has been this emphasis on being seen as kind of reasonable and open to compromise rather than being principled and putting in the fight for the 95% of Illinois families who exist outside of the public sector. The idea that the public sector union bosses have in this state, that anybody who is not part of them are just spare parts to be used as needed to give them what they want. We all exist to finance SEIU, AFSCME, and the teachers' unions. That's their attitude. And there's no tax increase that they will not support. I mean, the best moment on the House floor debate on the tax hikes was Mary Flowers, a Chicago Democrat legislator since Chicago was incorporated, using her time not to argue for the tax increases that were being voted upon, because that's a fait accompli. She spent her time arguing about the financial transactions tax she wants to revisit as soon as we're done with this tax hike. Let's quickly get to the next one. Mm-hmm. I mean, if that doesn't speak to the mentality in that chamber and in this state, at least among Chicago Democrats and apparently among some Republicans, then I don't know what does. And I think what this is Rauner getting back to the Rauner who was successful politically and see if he can translate that policy-wise in veto session, but more likely in session next year, even though it's going to be difficult to move the needle much in an election year. But the idea, at least in terms of using the bully pulpit more effectively, I'm the guy who's up against the established political order, the Springfield Royals in both parties for your benefit. I am going to hold fast this line so they don't just liquidate everything that you have, and so that some of you may even consider staying. And that's the market positioning that Rauner needs to have if he's going to earn a second term, because he's not going to earn a second term based on things getting better in Illinois. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. She also has just a really good grasp of media storytelling. When I've been on the show at times, sometimes I felt as an editorial writer that I was telling stories that his people should have been telling. Like when we talked about AFSCME and how they had 67 back and forth contract agreements or 67 meetings and 200 back and forth. It fuels the idea that maybe there isn't good messaging coming from his office when they're not good at explaining why, for example, a locally approved right-to-work zone and I know these are considered off-limits kind of off the bat, but they shouldn't be. Some of these issues that were on his initial turnaround agenda were not anti-union bashing. They were small, locally approved issues to help places like the south side of Chicago and the west side of Chicago that have not seen new development in 25 or 30 years. And I would like to see what Christina Rasmussen can do in relation to a lot of the Democrats. I was tweeting back and forth with a state rep last week. They said they're leaving town. They passed this tax hike, but the work isn't done. And they stood on the floor.
Meaning more taxes.
Well, some of them said they're committed to a property tax freeze. They're committed to workers' I know. But again, if someone can keep holding them to their word, they have said they're not done yet and that they do want to pass some of these pro-growth reforms. So we'll see. I'm not holding my breath.
Well, right. And by the way, here's what's going to happen too. Mark Glennon over at wirepoints.com has a good piece about the many ways Illinoisans won't pay higher taxes despite these massive tax increases that were instituted last week. He points out, which I've pointed out in part previously, Illinois tax collections have been dropping. Last week, the state released its report for the fiscal year that ended June 30th. Tax receipts declined 3.2%, which is almost $1 billion from the preceding year. I know, looking at corporate tax receipts alone, they were down almost that much. So
because people are leaving, I'll have to read Mark's piece. He's excellent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because people are leaving and businesses are divesting from Illinois. Even if you see the big corporate names on the big corporate campuses, Allstate up in Lake County. Well, you'll note what is not reported is that once upon a time they had 18,000 employees there, and now they're 6, and they're going to 3. I know. And Caterpillar, ADM, they make billions of dollars in agribusiness investments every year, and they're located in Illinois. Isn't that great? Except where are they investing? Texas. Nebraska, Iowa. Not in Illinois, not where their corporate headquarters are. So there's the one thing to see the placard, to see the campus, and there's another thing to actually look at where they're stationing employees, big employers, and where they're investing their substantial capital in terms of where they see their future and future returns. And that doesn't even get to the entrepreneurial capitalist, the small business owner operator. Tell me the last time you've heard somebody say this: I'm planning on starting a business in Illinois.
Well, right. I mean, this is all a good backdrop for a change of chief of staff. There's only so much that she can do, honestly, when you're dealing with this legislature. And I said this before. There were Democrats who stood up during this last budget agreement who were lamenting the fact that it didn't go farther, that they were voting for this budget even though there was no single-payer health care provisions included, no free college. There were so many more things they wanted, but they couldn't get. This is the legislature that she will be walking into. And they won't even pass, like you're saying. The signs have been neon flashing for years about the need for things like workers' comp reform. It's so ridiculous that they can't even get that to his desk.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So personnel is policy. All cliches are true. That's one of them. And you made the point at the outset of our conversation about the Illinois Policy Institute doing a good job of introducing the economic liberty agenda that was, all but left for dead prior to Illinois Policy Institute's arrival and presence in Springfield, led by Christina Rasmussen. Well, it's not just a one-person job. It's not a one-person job being governor. It's not a one-person job being the governor's chief of staff. So filling in the teams and maybe making changes downstream so that from the governor's office, rather than just from a free market think tank, you're getting proper pressure on legislators, starting with the Republican caucus, which is where you need to start in the House when you have nearly a third of the caucus flip on the governor and vote for tax increases, and 10 vote to override his veto, the necessary 10, and provide cover for suburban Democrat targets. So that alone is a big job. But now you'll have, I think, more thoughtful leverage being applied from the governor's office in the General Assembly in a more charming manner, but leveraged nonetheless in a way that it was kind of hands off, whatever happens, happens. And this is how the governor lost control of his own party and how, legislative leaders in the Senate walked away from him altogether in Redonio, and in Durkin was just hapless and listless and allowed that insurgency to occur in his caucus. Big difference.
Yeah, it is. She's also a woman, so I look forward to all the women legislators from both sides of the aisle getting a hashtag celebrating first female chief of staff. Do you think we'll hear that?
Is she the first female chief of staff for the governor?
I can't think that. I've been kind of running through in my mind, and I
can't think of one in my lifetime.
I can't think of one in my lifetime. But
sure,
so I'm just waiting for all of the female Democratic legislators who love to prop up that issue and look for diversity in cabinets and all that kind of stuff for the congratulations to start pouring through.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. But, Christina Rasmussen better clear some space for all the well wishes from female liberal identity assessed politicians and just rank and file Illinoisans. She should have a North Shore section alone for all the females, all the identity politics.
She persisted,
females.
Man. She persisted.
Glass ceilings, right? Right?
I'll wait for it. I doubt I'll see it.
Chris in Riverside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks very much. Great program today. Great news. I just hope that Christina helps the governor determine what he can actually accomplish. I think what we've been through for 24 months has been tilting at windmills because of the arithmetic to which you point, and only made worse by the quizzling Republicans. This governor needs accomplishments that are meaningful to the regular families. And it's almost like the entire staff on his office was ignoring the actual accomplishment in favor of confrontation. And I never understood it.
Well, yeah, thanks for the call, Chris. Let me just add to that. I think that's correct, but here's the other thing. And this is my commentary this week about Trump knowing his audience and leveraging who isn't his audience and an audience that's not gettable to advance his connection and the loyalty of his audience to him. That's what Trump does that few Republicans do effectively, particularly Rauner in the last 2.5 years, completely lost his audience. He's turned away from the people stoking the revolt against the ruling class, against the Springfield Royals, and he's been worried about what Highland Park and Winnetka think of him, and what editorial boards and Civic Fed and these kind of elite institutions think of him, rather than getting back to, yes, there are crises in the public sector, and that's relevant, and they need to be addressed. But there's also crises in the private sector that go completely unreported and unrecognized. And who speaks for, as I said before, the 95% of lower to middle income families who are burdened by escalating taxes that they can't afford and are shrinking their opportunities, as well as failing civic institutions. And so I think one of the keys that Christina gets and Rauner hasn't, as part of this pivot, will be Rauner getting back to who his audience is, recognizing it's not going to be everybody, and leveraging the audience he can't get to generate enthusiasm from the audience he can.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind, knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
Rockin' for the Troops is back, and this time with a new location and headlining band Saturday, July 22nd at Northwestern Medicine Field in Geneva. That's Kane County Cougars. Featuring platinum-selling artist Leonard Skinnard. How good a get is that? Win tickets through AM560 mobile app. Downloading the app is easy. Just text app, A-P-P, to 64636. Once installed, click on Rockin' for the Troops contest banner. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit rocking with the G for the troops.org. Rockingforthetroops.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Ever since I was little, I imagined owning a bakery. With hard work, I made it happen. But after this weekend's robbery, I realized that I need to protect my dream with security.
I've got a great answer for you. Alarm Detection Systems, your local family-owned business, understands the threats you might face. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300 and find out how we can protect you. License number 127000143.
I manage a construction site, and the other morning we had to send half of the crew home because of missing equipment. This nonsense is cutting into my time and budget.
Here's what you need to know. Alarm Detection Systems offers mobile security solutions that expand with your project. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300 to find out about our alarm and video protection. License number 127000143.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-725-1616 now and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you a copy of The #1 Mistakes Retirees Are Making with Their Investments Today and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-725-1616. That's 800-725-1616. Employees of J.D. Melberg Financial have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer.
What's happening? What does it mean? Why is it important? We've got the answer. AM 560, The Answer.